This man spent 5,000 years cultivating his soul, reaching a level of power so profound he was revered as the Zi Wei Tian Zun. But right as he stood at the threshold of godhood, ready to ascend, Moc Ly did the unthinkable. He chose to reverse time itself to return to his past. In an instant, a beam of light descended upon a ritual altar, while a sudden bolt of lightning struck the rooftop of a university far away. Moc Ly had returned to May 2017, back when he was nothing more than a struggling college student. Chow the hang. In this life, I'll never let you lay a finger on my family again. With that burning thought, Moc Ly stood up, his gaze sharper than ever. Shaking off the shock, he rushed back to his dorm at Long Sun Polytechnic University. Inside room 1103, he found himself alone, realizing he truly had been reborn. Moc Ly knew exactly what his first move had to be. He needed to make money fast to save his family from the crushing weight of poverty. Every single cent counted. Without wasting a second, he fired up his laptop and began typing away like a man possessed. A while later, loud voices drifted in from the hallway. It sounded like his roommates were finally back. They were all hyped up, talking about hitting up that new crawfish spot near campus. Everyone seemed to be in high spirits. But the moment they saw Moc Ly sitting at his desk, the vibe shifted instantly. Their smiles turned into sneers as they began to mock him. "Oh look, young Master Moc skipped class again? Hey, we're starving, man. Why don't you do us a favor and buy us all dinner tonight?" Moc Ly heard every word, but he didn't even flinch. He just kept his eyes on the screen, his fingers flying across the keys. Seeing him play dumb, one of the roommates lost his temper and barked, "Yo, you think you're too good for us now, you pathetic loser? Are you really not scared that we'll spill your little secret to the whole class? You aren't some rich heir, and we all know it. Your whole wealthy persona is a total lie. You want me to make you famous across the whole campus?" Moc Ly didn't even look up. He had just finished formatting his hard drive, wiping every bit of data clean to prepare it for sale. As Moc Ly continued to ignore them, the roommate named Brother Chu got even more heated. The other two stepped in to try and play peacemaker. They wanted to avoid a messy fight in the room. "Whoa, Chu, take it easy, man. If he wants to keep playing pretend rich boy, just let him. But seriously, Moc Ly, we've been keeping your secret all this time. You could at least show a little gratitude, you know? Going through life with that attitude isn't going to end well for you." Moc Ly knew exactly what they were doing. They were all the same, fake and two-faced. Even though those two sounded like they were defending him, they were actually just twisting the knife, mocking his poverty right to his face. He didn't give them the satisfaction of a response. He simply slid his laptop into his bag and swung it over his shoulder. "If you want to tell everyone, go right ahead. I couldn't care less." His cold, indifferent tone caught them completely off guard. They all stood there stunned, except for the one called Brother Chu, who was still fuming. "We gave you a chance to be cool, and you're gonna act like a prick? You want me to beat some sense into you?" His insults got nastier, but to Moc Ly, it was nothing more than a stray dog barking in the distance. He had much bigger things to worry about. The heavens had granted him a second chance, allowing him to be reborn into this world. But his godly powers had been completely drained by the time leap. Now, along with making money, he had to find a way to reclaim his lost strength. He headed straight to a computer repair shop. The only reason he'd wiped his hard drive earlier was so he could sell the laptop for some quick cash. Even though the laptop was 3 years old, it was still in great shape. But even so, the shop owner only offered him $800 for it. Looking at the few bills in his hand, Moc Ly felt a pang of guilt. This laptop was bought for him when he first started university. His mother had scrimped and saved for months to afford it, and now, it wasn't even worth $1,000. In his past life, he had been obsessed with status and pleasure. He'd spent his days pretending to be a rich kid, blowing money at bars and clubs. He'd shamelessly footed the bill for his so-called friends, and constantly badgered his mother for more money whenever he ran out. Because of his selfishness, his mother worked herself to the bone, and her health rapidly declined until it led to a tragic end. By the time he realized his mistakes, it was far too late. That was why he was willing to sacrifice 5,000 years of cultivation just to return and fix everything. "Hey, Moc Ly." A familiar voice suddenly cut through his thoughts. He turned around and saw his younger sister, Moc Han. Seeing her standing there, alive and well, his heart felt heavy with emotion. In his previous life, his actions had dragged her down with him, eventually driving her to jump from a building to end her own life. Seeing the pained look on his face, Moc Han asked, "Is everything okay?" "Yeah, it's nothing. Don't worry about it," Moc Ly replied, quickly shaking off the dark memories. He swore to himself right then and there that he would protect his sister and mother with his life, never letting them suffer again. Then, he watched as she rummaged through her bag before pulling out a small paper envelope and handing it to him. She told him there was $5,000 inside money she had saved up from working part-time for the last 2 semesters. Take this, and please, stop asking Mom for money. Moc Ly was stunned. How could his little sister have managed to save so much? Moc Han anxiously pressed the envelope into his hands, begging him to take it so he could pay for his school expenses. Don't you dare play dumb with me, she snapped. She already found out that Moc Ly had threatened their mother, claiming he'd quit school if she didn't hand over the money. She also knew all about him spending his days partying and wasting away with his group of low-life friends. But at the end of the day, you're still family. Neither Mom nor I can just leave you to rot. Take this, and start acting like a decent human being for once. Young Master Moc Ly. Those 4 words, Young Master Moc Ly, felt like a total slap in the face. In his past life, his pathetic pride turned him into a parasite, bleeding his mother and sister dry. But this time, he truly didn't need it. He told his sister to keep those $5,000 for her own expenses at school. However, at the mention of school, his sister's expression darkened instantly. After hesitating for a moment, she finally confessed the truth. She had already dropped out. The family was drowning in debt, and the loan sharks had already started coming to their door. Their mother couldn't make that kind of money alone. So, she quit school to work and support the family, giving up her own future so her brother could keep studying. Hearing this, Moc Ly felt like a jagged blade was ripping through his heart. He rushed forward and pulled his sister into a sudden, tight hug. The unexpected gesture left her completely stunned. What are you doing, sis? I am so sorry. Just give me a little time. Trust me. I promise I will make things right for our family. He spoke with a voice as solid as iron, leaving no room for doubt. His sister was used to his empty promises, but for some reason, this time felt different. Something about her brother had changed. He seemed strangely reliable. After saying goodbye to her, Moc Ly headed straight for a traditional herbal pharmacy. He used the money from selling his computer to buy some specific herbs, then made his way to a quiet forest on the outskirts of the city. He needed those herbs to brew a special medicine. Since the spirit energy on Earth was so thin, he had to rely on this concoction to speed up his cultivation. Before long, the herbs in the pot began to fuse together perfectly. Finally, the liquid turned crystal clear, looking just like pure water. This was the sign that Moc Ly had succeeded. He downed the entire bowl in one go and sat down to begin his meditation. The path of immortality is split into 5 realms. First is the Qi refining stage, then the origin core stage, followed by the divine ghost stage, the spirit transformation stage, and finally, the peak the heaven man stage. Even though he had lost all his power, the experience from his past life was still etched into his mind. That knowledge would be the key to regaining his strength in record time. Even reaching the very first level of the Qi refining stage would give him power far beyond any normal human. Moc Ly focused every ounce of his being. After an hour, he finally broke through to the first level. He decided to test his new strength with a single punch. The blow completely shattered the trunk of a massive tree. Moc Ly smiled, satisfied. For now, this was enough to handle anyone in the martial arts world. Now that he had some power, his next priority was finding the fastest way to make money. He already had a place in mind. Moc Ly headed straight for a local internet cafe, but he wasn't there to play games. He was there to log into the Era trading network. The site was known as the world's underground market, where you could trade anything from information and rare items to high-stakes contracts. As soon as he clicked onto the site, a featured mission from an anonymous user caught his eye. The target, the daughter of a wealthy man named Tu Van in Long Sun. The objective, take her life. The reward, $10 million. Below the post was a notification that a killer named Fong Thick had already accepted the job. The comment section was absolutely blowing up. Since Fong Thick was a top-tier assassin, everyone assumed the Tu family's daughter was as good as dead. Many people felt sorry for the Tu family, as Tu Van was known to be a peaceful, law-abiding businessman. He never looked for trouble, and his daughter was said to be a legendary beauty. No one knew who they could have possibly offended to trigger such a hit. Moc Ly couldn't fathom why someone would pay $10 million just to kill a girl, but to him, this looked like the perfect opportunity. Scrolling down, he found another post, this time from Tu Van himself, desperately looking for help. He was looking for a high-level bodyguard to protect his daughter for 1 month. The pay? $20 million. Moc Ly smirked. No one had dared to take the job yet. It was as if it was waiting just for him. Without a second thought, he clicked accept. His username on the site was Wuji, a name no one had ever heard of. When the users saw a complete nobody like him dare to challenge Fong Thick, the internet trolls went wild. A little lamb walking into a tiger's den? This should be fun to watch, they joked. Just as he took off his headset, Moc Ly's phone rang. After giving his location to the caller, he sat back and waited for the Tu family to come pick him up. On the other end, Tavan's secretary was skeptical after seeing Moc Ly was at a cheap internet cafe. Sir, can we really trust this guy? The fact that anyone accepted the job is a miracle in itself, Tavan replied. Just go get him, and we'll figure out the rest later. Half an hour later, Moc Ly stood in front of the massive Tu family mansion. Tavan might be a businessman, but he is definitely not your average merchant. At just 45 years old, he is already the chairman of one of the largest conglomerates around. This villa is only a tiny fraction of his vast empire. When Moc Ly stepped out of the car, Tavan could not hide his shock. He never expected the person taking on the mission to stop Fong Thick to be this young. He personally walked to the door to greet him. Are you Mr. Vokuk? I am the one who posted the mission. Tavan, please, come inside so we can talk. Moc Ly was in no hurry to sit down for tea. Instead, he asked Tavan to give him a tour of the villa to get a feel for the layout. Tavan agreed immediately. As he led the way, he explained his situation. It turned out the old man had a mortal enemy in the business world, and they had been at each other's throats for years. Not long ago, Tavan obtained evidence of that man's illegal dealings and handed it over to the police. As a result, his rival became a wanted man and fled to avoid prison. But then, the guy resorted to this low-down method for revenge. His daughter means everything to Tavan, so he didn't hesitate to spend a fortune hiring bodyguards to keep her safe. Moc Ly finally understood the situation. Along the way, he carefully observed every corner of the Tu family villa. He then spoke up. Mr. Tu, your villa seems quiet, but there are quite a few people hiding around here, aren't there? Tavan was beyond stunned, because there were indeed many bodyguards lying in wait at that moment. He was certain they were well hidden and perfectly silent. He didn't expect Moc Ly to notice them with just a passing glance. Of course, it is good that you have prepared an ambush, Mr. Tu. However, Moc Ly had to give him some honest advice. Against a top-tier assassin like Fong Thick, these people would be completely useless. Right then, Tavan's secretary rushed over to announce that Master Lam had arrived. It turned out Moc Ly wasn't the only one invited. To protect his daughter's life, Tavan had also called in Lam Viet, who was 62 years old. He was a mid-level martial artist, accompanied by his disciple, Trio Shuyen, a low-level martial artist. As soon as he arrived, Lam Viet couldn't stop sighing. He said he wanted to find more help, but everyone refused the moment they heard the opponent was Fong Thick. Tavan's face darkened when he heard that. Lam Viet quickly tried to reassure him. Don't lose heart. Your father was a longtime friend of mine. I will do everything in my power to help you. It was only then that Lam Viet noticed someone else was there. Tavan hurried to introduce them, explaining that Moc Ly was the one who took the mission from the global black market under the alias Vo Kuk. Both Lam Viet and Tru Suyen stood there with their jaws dropped. They couldn't believe a kid this young dared to go up against the infamous assassin Fong Thick. Tru Suyen, in particular, was full of doubt. He spoke up. Hey kid, do you really think you can handle a $20 million bounty? It was obvious Tru Suyen was looking down on him. Lam Viet quickly barked. Tru Suyen, mind your manners. Even though he said that, both Lam Viet and Tavan had serious doubts. After all, Moc Ly was just too young, and they had no idea how capable he actually was. Thinking of this, Tavan asked if he had a plan to protect his daughter. Moc Ly nodded. His first move was to tell them to take down all the cameras and have the hidden bodyguards leave. Hearing this, Lam Viet sighed and shook his head. Young man, are you trying to lure Fong Thick out? But such a simple trick won't work on him. No. Moc Ly replied bluntly. I am telling them to leave because they are too weak. Staying here will just make them get in my way. Those words sent a shockwave through Tavan, Lam Viet, and Tru Suyen. They didn't know how strong he was yet, but he definitely had a big mouth. Then, he looked at Lam Viet and Trio Shuyen and said that they were the only two who could barely stay. The phrase barely stay was a huge blow to their pride. Tro Suyen's temper flared instantly. You arrogant brat. Do you think you are some kind of martial lord to be looking down on us like that? Do you dare to have a match with me? Moc Ly let out a cold laugh. A martial lord? What does that even matter? In my past life, I was just one step away from becoming an immortal. If you want to test me, you alone are not enough, Moc Ly replied. This only made Tru Shuyan even more furious. However, Moc Ly did want to show his employer a bit of his strength. He told Devan to call out everyone who could fight and have them all attack him at once. He was perfectly capable of taking on 100 men by himself. Devan never imagined Moc Ly would be confident enough to make such a request. He advised him to try a match against Tru Shuyan first, but Moc Ly was not interested in such low-level challenges. By now, the bodyguards hiding around the villa had gathered. There were so many of them, they looked like a swarm of ants. It seems Devan had spent a fortune keeping all these men on his payroll. Watching this unfold, Zhao Chuan smugly crossed his arms, feeling that even without him stepping in, these guys were more than enough to handle Moc Ly. Let's see how many seconds you can actually last. As soon as he finished speaking, the bodyguards from all sides lunged at Moc Ly simultaneously. But he just stood there, showing absolutely no sign of fighting back or trying to run away. Both Su Wen and Lin Yue couldn't hide their doubt at this frozen figure, even fearing that Moc Ly was paralyzed with terror. But the real show was just beginning. When those guards charged in and the first guy swung a punch at Moc Ly, it was like hitting an invisible wall. That impact triggered a massive explosion with Moc Ly at the center. The bodyguards were instantly blown back, and not a single one escaped the blast. Meanwhile, Moc Ly was still standing there with his hands in his pockets, looking totally relaxed. Naturally, he didn't have a scratch on him, not even a single hair was out of place. Su Wen, Lin Yue, and Zhao Chuan were all paralyzed with fear by the sight. What on earth just happened? He didn't even move his hands, Su Wen cried out. Just then, Moc Ly turned around and gestured for Zhao Chuan to come at him too. Even though he'd just witnessed Moc Ly's incredible strength, Zhao Chuan couldn't stand that arrogant attitude. Zhao Chuan felt completely disrespected, so he went all out and charged forward. When he was about 3 meters away from Moc Ly, Zhao Chuan leaped high into the air and unleashed a flashy spinning kick. Too bad for him, he didn't even touch Moc Ly before being sent flying by a single move. This wasn't just a normal counterattack. Just looking at the way Zhao Chuan was launched away was enough to show just how much power was behind it. What about you? After dealing with Zhao Chuan, Moc Ly turned his attention toward Lin Yue. The old man quickly cupped his hands in respect and said, Master Wuji, please forgive me. I was foolish and failed to recognize your true strength. I beg for your mercy. Zhao Chuan finally scrambled to his feet, but he was stunned by Lin Yue's submissive attitude. Master, are you saying even you aren't his match? Lin Yue shook his head, explaining that even Master Lu, who had just reached the martial sovereign realm, was no match for Moc Ly. As soon as he said that, Su Wen's jaw dropped in shock. He couldn't believe he had actually managed to hire such a legendary expert. Is that true? Absolutely, Lin Yue confirmed firmly. Master Wuji is a martial sovereign with bottomless power. Su Wen always took Lin Yue's word as gospel, but this news was still a bit hard to swallow. After all, Moc Ly looked so young. He didn't have the typical look of a high-level martial sovereign. Right then, Su Wen's daughter, who had no idea how much danger she was in, finally woke up. Once Moc Ly's strength was confirmed, Su Wen brought him inside to officially discuss the plan to protect his precious daughter. Before that, Moc Ly had 2 demands. First, he needed a down payment, specifically 2 million yuan. Second, during the mission, she had to follow his orders completely. If he said go east, there was no going west. Su Wen had no reason to refuse and immediately ordered his people to get the money ready. Moc Ly nodded and added, now that the deposit is settled, I need tomorrow off to handle some personal business for a day. Su Wen panicked when he heard that. The killer known as Feng Qi was famous for working fast. Su Wen was terrified he'd strike and take out his daughter within the next day or two. In that case, your daughter will have to come with me, Moc Ly replied. Su Wen felt conflicted. He believed nowhere was safer than the Su family mansion. That's why he'd been keeping her cooped up inside for days. While he was lost in thought, the old man heard his daughter calling him, Dad. The 3 of them looked up and saw Sujiaki standing on the stairs, looking sleepy and still wearing her nightgown. She was Su Wen's only daughter, just 19 years old, and she was truly a beauty. Seeing his daughter dressed like that made Su Wen both embarrassed in front of his guest and incredibly anxious. Why are you dressed like that? We have guests. Go change your clothes, now. I'm stuck in this house every single day like a prisoner, just eating and sleeping. What else am I supposed to wear if not pajamas? Sujiaki shot back defiantly. Su Wen was fuming. But Lin Yue quickly stepped in to calm things down. He figured Su Jiaqi had been stuck inside for too long, and it was only natural for her to be frustrated. Su Jiaqi glanced at the group and noticed Mu Ly was a total stranger. She pointed right at his face and asked, "Who is this guy?" "Su Jiaqi, I'm warning you. Master Wuji is a distinguished guest here to protect you. Don't be rude." Su Wen was getting more nervous by the second, fearing his daughter's attitude would offend Mu Ly and make him walk away. But the girl had clearly been spoiled since birth. Hearing that Mu Ly was there to protect her, she didn't feel grateful at all. Instead, she looked at him with pure disdain. "You think he can protect me?" Mu Ly set his teacup down with a sharp clack that made Su Wen even more restless. Then, he stood up and gave the young heiress a brief, nonchalant introduction. He said, "I'm Mu Ly. From now on, you can just call me Big Brother." The young lady's eyes nearly popped out of her head. He also demanded that for the next 1 month, she had to follow his every instruction if she wanted to stay safe. In return, he promised not to restrict her freedom or lock her up in the house. Hearing this, Su Jiaqi immediately caught the main point. "No restrictions? Then I want to go out." Mu Ly turned his head and glanced at Su Wen. Despite being worried sick, the old man had no choice but to sigh helplessly and nod in agreement. Having gotten her way, Su Jiaqi's eyes lit up. After being cooped up at home for days, she was bored out of her mind. Then, the old master put on a serious face and laid down one condition for his daughter. When she went out with Mu Ly the next day, she had to stay glued to his side and not run off on her own. Su Jiaqi agreed on the surface, but she was completely clueless about how much danger she was actually in. She secretly thought that once they were out, there was no way she was going to listen to a bodyguard like Mu Ly. The next day, Su Jiaqi got all dolled up and hopped into the family's luxury car with Mu Ly. As soon as they left the villa, she told their driver, Uncle Tone, to head straight to Matolis because she was dying to go shopping. But Mu Ly, sitting beside her with a stone-cold face, told him to head to Longshan University of Technology instead. Su Jiaqi was livid. She turned to the driver and threatened, "Uncle Tone, who are you actually listening to?" It was a bad day for the young miss because, since yesterday, Su Wen had made it crystal clear to all the servants that for this 1 month, for her own safety, they all had to take orders from Mu Ly. So, between the two of them, Uncle Tone obviously had to listen to Mu Ly. Seeing him ignore her, Su Jiaqi was absolutely furious. She threw a tantrum and demanded to be let out of the car. Uncle Tone looked at Mu Ly through the rearview mirror, silently pleading for help. "Let her out," he said curtly. The car screeched to a halt. Su Jiaqi felt triumphant as she threw the door open and stepped out. "Well then, this lady bids you farewell." However, the place Uncle Tone had pulled over was out in the middle of nowhere. There wasn't a soul in sight, and the only sound was the occasional, eerie caw of a crow. Su Jiaqi was frozen with fear. It took her exactly 2 seconds to assess the situation before she sensibly crawled back into the car. Her face was pale. That was seriously embarrassing. Now, Mu Ly wasn't exactly the type to sweet-talk women. Seeing Su Jiaqi looking so gloomy, he felt a bit annoyed himself and said, "Look, stop acting out. Just behave and come with me to finish what I need to do. And after that, I'll go wherever you want." Su Jiaqi let out a huff. She was clearly unhappy, but she didn't have a comeback for him. Not long after, they arrived at the dorms of Longshan University of Technology. Su Jiaqi was the first one out of the car. She looked at the dorm building in front of her with total disbelief. "Is this where you live?" "It is a total dump." Mu Ly didn't even bother responding and just stepped out of the car. A luxury car showing up at the dorms was a huge scene. On top of that, a stunning beauty stepping out caught everyone's eye. The guys in the dorms started crowding the balconies. They began hooting and hollering, making Su Jiaqi hate the place even more. So when Mu Ly told her to follow him inside, she flat out refused. "My lady, the master gave strict orders that you must stay within Mr. Wuji's sight at all times." Uncle Tone tried his best to coax her, but his words weren't nearly as effective as Mu Ly's. "If you want to go shopping later, get in here right now." Su Jiaqi really wanted to go shopping, so she followed him in with a pout. At that moment, Mu Ly's 3 roommates were sitting around shirtless, playing video games. When they saw him walk in with a beautiful girl, they started catcalling. "Whoa, Master Mu. This girl today is not bad at all. How about letting us bros have a little fun with her too?" Since his rebirth, Mu Ly already despised these trashy friends, and now he had to watch them blatantly harass Su Jiaqi right in front of him. His eyes turned cold as he stepped in front of her and barked, "Get away from her." The three of them just sneered. "What is with that look? We are just teasing your girlfriend a bit. Why are you being so dramatic? It is just a joke. We are so close. Master Mu wouldn't actually get mad, right?" Moc Ly let out a cold snort. "If you love teasing girls so much, go find your own." With that, Moc Ly used a bit of his spiritual power to give them a scare. Sujiaki didn't notice anything out of the ordinary, but under the influence of his power, the three roommates saw ghastly skulls surrounding them, screaming for their lives. The scene was so terrifying that all three of them fell to their knees, stammering and begging for mercy. "What is wrong with them?" Sujiaki asked, confused. "It is nothing, just some hallucinations." Moc Ly packed his things and left. A moment later, they were back in the car. Sujiaki was still dying of curiosity about how Moc Ly's roommates reacted, so she couldn't help but ask, "Hey, seriously, tell me, what kind of dark magic were you using back there?" Seeing the bratty attitude of the young heiress, Moc Ly felt a massive headache coming on, so he simply raised his fist. "You already know how strong I am, so why are you still acting up?" Sujiaki instinctively jumped back, shielding her face with both hands while letting out a sharp scream. But Moc Ly just sat back down properly in his seat and said with a straight face, "Relax, it was just a joke. How could I ever bring myself to hit a lady like you?" Sujiaki felt like she'd been played for a fool again. She was fuming, wanting nothing more than to jump him right there in the car. Just then, Uncle Tone, who was behind the wheel, turned around and asked where they wanted to go next. Moc Ly got back to business and called his sister to ask for her location. Moc Han said she was at work and gave him the address. Soon, the car was cruising toward 107 Longtap Road. When they arrived, Moc Ly was surprised to find that the place was a restaurant. But this wasn't just any ordinary restaurant. It was a maid cafe, full of young girls in outfits who treated every customer like a high and mighty master. Sujiaki had no idea his sister worked there, so she assumed Moc Ly had some weird hidden fetish and started laughing. "So, you're into this kind of stuff, huh?" Moc Ly didn't answer because he was still in shock. He never imagined his sister would be working in a place like this. The two went inside, grabbed a table, and ordered a few things. Moc Ly then asked the server if there was a girl named Moc Han working there. The girl nodded immediately, saying that Moc Han was currently in the kitchen getting some food ready. A moment later, Moc Ly saw his sister walk out of the kitchen carrying a tray. Seeing her in heavy makeup and that maid outfit was a real eyesore for him. Moc Ly stood up so fast, his chair nearly flew as he watched some low-life creep slap his younger sister's backside. "Little Han, you've kept me waiting way too long, now get over here." As Moc Ly witnessed this scene, his eyebrows knit together in a tight, angry line. The guy responsible was Tan Than Nan, 23 years old, the only son of the Tan family real estate group. But in reality, he was nothing more than a rich scoundrel. Judging by Moc Han's expression, it was clear this was not the first time this guy had harassed her. "I still have work to do. Please excuse me, young Master Tan," Moc Han said, her voice heavy with resignation. "Don't you dare walk away," Tan Than Nan shouted after her. He even pulled a box from his pocket, revealing a sparkling diamond ring as he made his move. "Little Han, be my girlfriend." This scene caused quite a stir among the restaurant guests, with everyone crowding around to enjoy the drama. Even though she was sitting further away, Sujiaki immediately recognized who that brat was. Moc Ly did not step in just yet. He wanted to see exactly what kind of sick games this guy was trying to play with his sister. Tan Than Nan shoved the ring right in front of Moc Han's face, looking incredibly smug as he continued. "Little Han, I know your family is dirt poor, and you have that loser brother who blows through money like water. I know how hard your life is. Just stay with me, and I can guarantee you will live in luxury for the rest of your life." It was supposed to be a confession, but Tan Than Yan's condescending attitude made it feel like a total insult. Besides, even if he were a bit more polite, he definitely was not her type. That is why Moc Han rejected him without hesitation and seriously got back to her work. Tan Than Yan never imagined a poor girl like her would turn down such an attractive offer. His embarrassment quickly turned into pure rage. The shop owner saw that the troublemaker was young Master Tun, so he didn't dare delay for even a second and rushed out immediately. That shameless jerk started making up lies, claiming Moc Han had splashed water on him and demanding she clean it up personally. Without even checking the facts, the owner pinned all the blame on Moc Han and even raised his hand to slap her as punishment. But just as his hand swung through the air, someone caught it. "Who the hell are you? Get your hands off me right now." The owner screamed, but Moc Ly was incredibly strong. He couldn't resist at all and was tossed backward with a sudden surge of power. With a loud crash, the owner's fat body slammed straight into a table, snapping it clean in half. You don't even have to think to know that hurt like hell. Both the staff and the customers watching were so stunned, their jaws literally hit the floor. Moc Han was no exception. She never expected her own brother to just show up out of nowhere like that. As for Tu Kai, this was her first time seeing Moc Ly in action, and she was absolutely floored. That massive, bloated shop owner got tossed aside like he was nothing more than a stray cat. Who the hell do you think you are? Take my advice and mind your own damn business. Ton Thon Nan then scrambled to his feet and stomped over to Moc Ly, pointing his finger aggressively. Compared to the owner, this guy was thin as a rail. He probably couldn't take a punch to save his life. And of course, he ended up exactly like the owner he just saw. As he hit the dirt, Ton Thon Nan felt like half his ribs were shattered, but he still had the nerve to bark out threats. I'm the heir to the Tun Thi real estate group. You seriously think you can touch me? You must have a death wish. Wow, I'm genuinely surprised. I didn't realize the Tun Group was such a heavy hitter in the real estate world. Just then, another voice rang out, instantly making Ton Thon Nan's face go pale. You actually dare to lay a finger on my people? Ton Thon Nan thought his ears were playing tricks on him at first, but then he saw Tu Ki actually appear, and, what's more, step up to defend Moc Ly. How could his pathetic little company ever hope to compete with the Su family? So, before Tu Kai could call her father to settle things, Ton Thon Nan tucked his tail and got the hell out of that restaurant. Seeing his cowardly display, Tu Kai found it hilarious and gave Moc Ly a playful nudge. You owe me a big favor, you know. Actually, no. That guy owes you his life. He meant every word. If Tu Kai hadn't stepped in, he probably would have sent Ton Thon Nan straight to his grave right then and there. Tu Kai wanted to say more, but Moc Han grabbed Moc Ly's hand, pleading with them to leave immediately. Moc Ly had a million questions, but all he could manage to ask was why Moc Han was working there. The pay is good, his sister replied as briefly as possible. Moc Han's heartbreakingly calm demeanor cut Moc Ly like a knife. It turned out his sister had been enduring this kind of humiliation all because of him, her spendthrift brother, who used to burn through money like water. In his past life, Moc Ly hadn't known a single thing about it. He stood frozen for a long time, not knowing what to say. Moc Han, you haven't changed out of those clothes yet. Moc Han spoke in a tiny, quiet voice. It was only then that Moc Ly noticed she was still wearing that maid outfit. He turned to Tu Kai and asked if there were any clothing stores nearby. Tu Kai flashed a bright smile and said, You've asked the right person. They headed to several shops together. Tu Kai picked out a bunch of outfits for Moc Han, and every single one looked stunning. But when Moc Han saw the price tags, she turned pale and frantically waved her hands, saying, These are way too expensive. I can't afford them. What are you worried about? Your brother is a rich man now. He could buy this whole store if he wanted to, let alone a few outfits. Tu Kai tried to reassure her. How is that even possible? Moc Han was beyond shocked. He's working as my bodyguard now, and his salary is incredibly high. Moc Han was still completely confused, but in the end, she let Moc Ly pay for the clothes. Once they were done shopping, he transferred another 200,000 yuan to his sister, telling her to keep some for herself and give the rest to their mother to pay off their debts. He knew Moc Han had many questions, but he couldn't exactly tell her he'd been reincarnated. Even if he did, she wouldn't believe him. So, he made up a story about meeting a mysterious master a while back. He claimed the master had awakened him and taught him advanced martial arts. Basically, he was telling her he was a completely different person now. He thought his lie was pretty convincing, but Moc Han wasn't that naive. Moc Ly, do you really think I'm going to believe such nonsense? Sister, I really have changed. Moc Ly spoke with deep sincerity, but Moc Han just asked, Does someone just change like that for no reason? Her question left him completely speechless. The two of them locked eyes for a few seconds before Moc Han suddenly burst into laughter. Whatever the real reason is, if you don't want to say, that's fine. I'm just glad you've changed. I'll go home and tell Mom everything. As Moc Han walked away, Moc Ly called out, asking her to apologize to their mother on his behalf, but his sister refused, saying he should be the one to tell her himself. After watching her disappear from sight, Moc Ly felt relieved and headed back to the car, only to be teased by Tu Kai. Tell me, oh great martial arts master Moc Ly, are you one of those guys who acts tough in front of the world but is actually terrified of his little sister? Moc Ly didn't say a word, but his face flushing red with embarrassment was answer enough. Seeing that, Tu Jiaikai finally stopped teasing him. Once the car started moving, she kept bringing up how much she'd helped him today, from dealing with Tontan Nan to helping him take his sister shopping. Logic dictated that Moc Ly should really make it up to her. Moc Ly knew exactly what the young lady was hinting at, so he told Uncle Tone to follow her lead. "We can go wherever you want." Tu Jiaikai squealed with joy and told Uncle Tone to head straight to Metropolis. After all, her greatest passion in life was shopping. Since she was in such a good mood, she shopped straight through until late in the afternoon. As for Moc Ly, in his role as her bodyguard, he now had the added duty of being a human clothes rack. It wasn't until the back seat was piled high with bags that she was finally satisfied and ready to head home. Before Uncle Tone could start the engine, Moc Ly suddenly felt that something was wrong. Uncle Tone noticed the slight change in his expression and asked, "Mr. Wuji, is something the matter?" "It's nothing. Let's just go home," Moc Ly replied. But his gut feeling was spot on, because they were definitely being watched. The road back to the Su family villa on the outskirts of the city passed through a desolate, hilly area. Everything seemed fine on the way there, but on the way back, Uncle Tone had to slam on the brakes because a massive tree had been uprooted and was blocking the road. A worried Uncle Tone got out of the car to investigate. Moc Ly followed him, but just as the man was focused on trying to move that tree trunk, something suddenly tore through the air at high speed. Honestly, Uncle Tone would have been a dead man before he even realized what was happening. But luckily, he was with Moc Ly. He used his power to freeze the object's movement instantly. When Uncle Tone saw clearly that it was a bullet, he was so terrified his legs turned to jelly, and he collapsed on the spot. "Mr. Infinite, what on earth is this?" Uncle Tone stammered. Moc Ly held the bullet suspended in midair, looking incredibly smug. To him, this was nothing more than child's play. But if the enemy wanted to play this game, he was more than ready to play along. With that thought, Moc Ly channeled a bit more power, sending those bullets flying back in the exact opposite direction. Even without aiming, Moc Ly was more than capable of returning these bullets to their original owners. Just like that, the two assassins hiding in the forest didn't even have time to process what was happening before bullets pierced through their skulls. Tu Jiaikai, who was dozing off in the car, heard the commotion and stepped outside. "Why is it so noisy out here? What was that sound? Uncle Tone, why are you sitting on the ground?" Seeing her come out, Uncle Tone became frantic. "Miss, get back in the car quickly, there is an ambush." Just as Uncle Tone finished his sentence, before Tu Jiaikai could even react, she caught a whiff of a very strange scent. By the time she realized it was knockout gas, it was too late. Her entire body lost all its strength, and she collapsed. Meanwhile, Uncle Tone also succumbed to the gas and passed out. The only one left conscious was Moc Ly. He had already guessed he would be ambushed, but this didn't seem like a typical attack. Wanting to find out who was pulling the strings, Moc Ly decided to use a little trick to turn the tables on them. With that in mind, he left Tu Jiaikai lying there and hid himself at the edge of the forest. After a short while, as the gas began to dissipate, Tu Jiaikai vaguely saw several strangers wearing gas masks, carrying pistols as they approached her. In her dazed state, she kept calling out Moc Ly's name, but he was nowhere to be seen. The leader of the masked group didn't have time to worry about Moc Ly's mysterious disappearance. He simply ordered his men to quickly take their target, Tu Jiaikai, and leave. But right then, the person they thought had run away in fear suddenly appeared right behind them. "Who do you people work for? Where did you come from?" Hearing Moc Ly's voice, the group jumped in shock and spun around. They realized they had fallen for a diversion, but seeing that he was all alone, they let out a sigh of relief. "You little brat, you're all by yourself and you dare to challenge our brothers? Come on, boys, get him. Beat this kid until he can't get back up." At the leader's command, the whole gang rushed toward Moc Ly at once. But in his eyes, they were nothing more than small fry. Moc Ly casually picked a few leaves from the side of the road. They were normally harmless, but in his hands, these delicate leaves transformed into razor-sharp hidden weapons. Moc Ly used them to successfully tear through the enemy's line of defense. The leader's eyes widened in pure shock at the sight. Using leaves to take lives? How did he not know there was such a terrifying master in Sunlong City? "I will ask you one more time. Where did you all come from?" Moc Ly spared only the last man, intending to get information out of him. But who would have thought the enemy would rather end his own life than reveal anything? Realizing he was no match for Moc Ly, the man bit down on a poison pill hidden in his tooth, and within seconds, he was coughing up blood and collapsed dead. With his lead cut off, Moc Ly couldn't help but feel disappointed. But since the man was dead, it was time to head home. He used a bit of strength to shatter the tree blocking the main road and then returned to Tujia Kai. Moc Ly funneled a bit of internal energy into her to neutralize the effects of the gas. He hadn't intended for her to wake up right away because he was afraid it would cause a scene. But right at that moment, Tujia Kai slowly opened her eyes. As soon as she opened her eyes, she saw Moc Ly staring at her. And what's more, his finger was pressed against her chest. Her first instinct was to bolt upright, covering her chest with both hands before screaming at the top of her lungs. "What do you think you're doing? You pervert." This was exactly the trouble Moc Ly had anticipated, and in the end, he couldn't avoid it. "I'm saving you." "What else would I be doing?" he replied. Tujia Kai refused to believe him, but when she looked around, she saw the masked men from earlier lying scattered nearby. Tujia Kai turned pale with fright, and she was even more terrified to realize they were assassins hired to target her. Not long after, Uncle Tone also woke up. Seeing the scene before him, his reaction was pretty much the same as Tujia Kai's. Moc Ly told Uncle Tone to drive back to the two family residence first, saying that he had already taken care of the tree blocking the path. After returning to the two family villa, Moc Ly recounted everything that had happened to Tu Van and Lam Viet. His daughter hadn't just faced an ambush, she had been targeted by a whole group of professional killers. This made Old Master too extremely worried. "Are they from the Slaughtergate?" Lam Viet asked. "I do not think the Slaughtergate would stoop to using such low-level tactics. Every single one of those assassins had one thing in common, a leaf tattoo on their wrist." Moc Ly said, "For now, that's the only lead we have." Hearing about the leaf tattoo, Lam Viet's brow furrowed instantly. He had a vague memory of hearing about that mark before, but he couldn't quite remember which organization it belonged to. He never imagined that someone else, besides Fong Thick, would be gunning for Tujia Kai. This realization made Tu Van, her father, incredibly uneasy, so he decided then and there that she wouldn't be allowed to step foot outside anymore. "We definitely can't afford to be careless," Moc Ly agreed. Then, as if remembering something, he asked Tu Van to find him a few high-quality jade bracelets. Even though Tu Van didn't understand what he was up to, he immediately had his secretary go out and find exactly what Moc Ly wanted. Money was never an issue for the Tu family. Before long, the secretary returned with a box overflowing with exquisite emerald green jade. One look was enough to tell they were top tier. Moc Ly took the box, looking very satisfied. "Is Master Wu Ji planning to bless these rings to ward off evil spirits?" Tu Van asked curiously. Blessing items for protection was a common trick used by con artists. "Martial artists don't believe in that kind of nonsense," Lam Viet chimed in, making Tu Van feel a bit embarrassed. "Forgive me, I suppose I'm just poorly informed." That night, Moc Ly took the box back to his room. In a way, Tu Van's idea about warding off evil wasn't entirely wrong. After picking out the best pieces of jade, Moc Ly began funneling his own spiritual power into them. Next, he selected a solid jade bracelet and went over to knock on Tujia Kai's door. She opened it, looking clearly annoyed. "It's late. What do you want now?" Moc Ly handed her the bracelet and said, "Starting tomorrow, wear this. Keep it close to your body at all times." Moc Ly's words were straightforward enough, but Tujia Kai somehow managed to take them the wrong way. She instinctively crossed her arms over her chest, her cheeks turning bright red. "Close to my body? Just what are you trying to do to me?" Moc Ly really couldn't wrap his head around what went on in that girl's brain, but he didn't feel like arguing with the spoiled heiress, so he just let her overthink it. After giving the bracelet to Tujia Kai, he took the rest of the jewelry box down to the living room. Lam Viet and Tu Van were still awake. Moc Ly decided to give them a little demonstration, so he borrowed a pistol from one of the bodyguards. He casually tossed a piece of jade into the air, aimed, and squeezed the trigger. The bullet screamed through the air, but when it was just inches away from the jade, it hit an invisible barrier and was deflected instantly. Lam Viet watched the scene in total shock. "That's incredible!" The jade fell back into Moc Ly's palm, but then it immediately shattered into 7 or 8 pieces. Tu Van understood right away that the barrier could only block one fatal attack. But even so, they knew that one chance meant one life, which was incredibly precious. A treasure like that obviously couldn't last forever. "Not quite," Moc Ly explained. "That was just a prototype, so it's only good for one use. These ones are the real deal. Each can be used 4 or 5 times. And of course, the one I gave to Tujia Kai is the best of the bunch. Since she was the main target, she needed the most protection." He then distributed the remaining pieces to Lam Viet and Tavan. He also told them to give one to his mother and sister, just in case they were targeted as a way to get to him. Tavan didn't waste any time, and had his men take care of it immediately. The next morning, Tu Kai sat staring at the jade bracelet Moc Ly had given her. She had no idea how miraculous it actually was, and since she thought it looked tacky and out of style, she decided not to wear it. As she headed downstairs, she ran into her father, who was having tea in the living room. "And where do you think you're going?" he asked. "Out to have some fun." Tu Kai replied stubbornly. This girl really had a lot of nerve. After everything that happened yesterday, she didn't seem scared at all, but her father was absolutely terrified for her. To him, the world outside was now crawling with people trying to kill his daughter, so he forbid her from leaving. Moc Ly wasn't going to get involved, but when he noticed she wasn't wearing the bracelet he gave her, he realized he had no choice but to go with her. This young lady was certainly beautiful, but she seemed to be lacking a bit in the brains department. Yesterday, assassins were literally trying to take her life. Yet today, she had already forgotten the danger she was in. Not only did she refuse to wear the bracelet, but she was also visibly annoyed that he was sticking to her like glue. All along the way, she kept trying to ditch him. Having him follow her so closely made her feel suffocated. After a while, a sneaky idea popped into her head. She told him she needed to use the restroom. Since it was a ladies' room, Moc Ly obviously couldn't follow her inside, so he waited patiently outside. He knew she was up to something, but he didn't think a girl from the Tu family would actually try to climb out of a window. However, the second Tu Kai climbed out of the bathroom window, she realized Moc Ly was already standing there waiting for her. "How did you get here so fast?" she shrieked, standing precariously on an air conditioning unit on the wall. "Don't worry about when I got here. The real point is, you're currently flashing me," Moc Ly reminded her bluntly. As soon as Tu Kai heard that, her cheeks turned beet red. After letting out a loud shriek, she scrambled back into the bathroom as fast as she could. Her plan to ditch Moc Ly had completely backfired. Now, Tu Kai was staging a protest by locking herself inside and refusing to come out. But Moc Ly was incredibly patient as he waited outside, without a single hint of annoyance on his face. While waiting for Tu Kai to finish her business, Moc Ly suddenly heard someone calling his name. He turned around and realized it was Kuai Jiao. She was his high school classmate and the legendary goddess that every guy in school was obsessed with. Not only was she gorgeous, but she was also incredibly kind and friendly. Moc Ly used to be just one of the many people who had a secret crush on her. In his past life, after he ended up wandering the world, Kuai Jiao had even helped him out once. "It has been a long time, Kuai Jiao," Moc Ly said as he greeted her. Sensing a stranger, Tu Kai's curiosity got the best of her, and she started peeking out from the bathroom door to eavesdrop. Kuai Jiao noticed her immediately and asked Moc Ly, "Is this beautiful girl your girlfriend?" "I bet I am right, aren't I?" Before Moc Ly could even open his mouth, Tu Kai shrieked, "Who would ever want to be his girlfriend?" Then immediately pulled her head back inside. Moc Ly then caught up with Kuai Jiao about her life, and it turned out she was doing great, and everything was going well. After all, Kuai Jiao had always been perfect, so life had been relatively easy for her. On the other hand, she was completely shocked to see Moc Ly again, because he had changed so much. His entire vibe was totally different from before. "Time changes people," Moc Ly replied. His words made Kuai Jiao burst out laughing. "How old are you exactly? Why are you talking like such an old soul?" Moc Ly didn't bother arguing. If she knew he had actually lived for 5,000 years, she would probably be scared to death. After chatting about the old days for a bit, Kuai Jiao suddenly remembered something. In a few days, she was going to have a birthday party at her house. Since they had just bumped into each other, Kuai Jiao invited Moc Ly on the spot. She told him she would text him the time and location. Moc Ly had no reason to say no, so he told her he would definitely be there. Kuai Jiao nodded. "All right then, I won't interrupt your date any longer. I wouldn't want to scare your girlfriend so much that she never comes out of the bathroom." After saying goodbye, Kuai Jiao headed out. Watching her walk away, Moc Ly felt a strange sense of wonder. He never expected that in this life, he would get the chance to meet people he thought he had forgotten long ago. Just then, the phone in his pocket started vibrating. Moc Ly answered it, only to hear Uncle Tone's panicked voice on the other end. The uncle reported that Tu Kai had stolen the car keys and driven off, even though she didn't even have a driver's license. "Don't worry, I will take care of it," Moc Ly reassured him. He had been so caught up in talking to Kuai Jiao that he totally forgot Tu Kai could escape through the bathroom window. This girl was seriously a massive headache. Meanwhile, Tu Kai was cruising along, feeling incredibly relaxed and enjoying her newfound freedom. But she hadn't even made it far from the mall when she heard the loud wail of police sirens right behind her. A moment later, the police car cut her off and forced our young lady to stop. An officer stepped out and demanded to see her papers. He said they had received a tip about someone driving without a license and insisted that Tujai show him hers. She was instantly backed into a corner since she didn't have a license to show. While she was panicking, she heard Moc Ly's smug voice. "If you don't know how to drive, then stay out of the driver's seat. Don't give other female drivers a bad name." Seeing Moc Ly standing there, Tujai immediately realized that he was the one who snitched on her. She hissed in rage, "You jerk, Moc Ly, I'm going to kill you." After that, she had to go to the station to deal with the fines. Because of this, she was still furious with him, even 3 days later. For 3 whole days, she locked herself in her room and refused to come out. 3 days later, when Moc Ly came to knock on her door, her face was still dark with anger. "What do you want? Get lost. I don't want to see your face," she snapped before slamming the door. "Come on out. I need your help with something." Moc Ly knocked a few more times. Hearing that he actually needed a favor, she reluctantly poked her head out. "What do you need from me?" At first, she didn't seem interested at all in helping him. That was until he promised that if she helped him with this, he would agree to one of her conditions. And Tujai-Kai's condition was simple. From now on, Moc Ly was not allowed to follow her around anymore. He agreed immediately without a second thought, but in his head, he was laughing at what an idiot she was. Even if he didn't follow her openly, he could still protect her from the shadows. The favor he wanted was for her to go to Kuai Zhao's birthday party with him. As soon as she saw Moc Ly arrive, Kuai Zhao was thrilled. Standing next to her was Mr. Kuai Nghi, an elderly man around the same age as the two-family patriarch. Kuai Zhao then took the initiative to greet the other girl. "Hi there, I'm Kuai Zhao, Moc Ly's old classmate." "Hello. I'm Tujai, his master," she replied with an arrogant smirk. The word master left Kuai Zhao stunned for several seconds. She then gave Moc Ly a complicated look, probably thinking he had some really weird fetishes. Moc Ly was internally screaming at Miss Tujai. Damn it. They had already agreed on their cover before coming here, so why was she acting like this? Well, if it isn't the great young master Moc Ly, I never expected to see a guy like you at Kuai Zhao's birthday party. Moc Ly heard a young man's voice, and even though years had passed, he recognized it instantly as No Min. In his past life, Moc Ly had suffered plenty of bitter lessons because of this bastard, and he could never forget those days of humiliation. As soon as Ngo Min spotted him, he started his mocking routine. "Wow, why is the great young master Moc Ly dressed so modestly today? What is it? Did you get bored of pretending to be rich and decided to start acting like a lowlife instead?" As soon as he finished speaking, the group of sycophants standing next to him burst into laughter. Tujai stood by his side, unaware that Moc Ly had previously pretended to be a rich kid. She only saw these people publicly insulting him. "You guys are worse than common pests. How can you even call yourselves former classmates?" "Moc Ly, the flies are getting too loud in here. Let's go outside for a walk." Tujai spoke up in annoyance, perfectly bailing Moc Ly out of the situation. Being called a pest stung No Min right in the heart, and he was beyond irritated. But that was also when he finally noticed Tujai. He felt a surge of jealousy, unable to fathom how a dirt-poor loser like Moc Ly could be with such a beautiful woman. They say the woman by a man's side is his most valuable accessory, and they are absolutely right. With Tujai accompanying him, even Moc Ly's simple clothes were enough to make everyone else fade into the background. Shortly after, Ton Than Nan and his father, Ton Daifu, arrived at the celebration. As soon as he entered, he approached Kuai Zhao to offer her a drink. Although Kuai Zhao kept a smile on her face, she was secretly on high alert because she had heard plenty of rumors about Ton Than Nan's bad reputation. She told herself she had to keep her distance from him. Just as Ton Than Nan raised his glass, he spotted Moc Ly in the crowd. He still hadn't forgotten how Moc Ly had humiliated him at the maid cafe last time, and he had sworn he would never let the guy off the hook. While Ton Than Han was busy plotting his revenge, Ngo Min emerged from the crowd to offer him a toast. "Hello, young Master Tun. I am Ngo Min. We have actually met once before. I was wondering if I might have the honor of being your friend." Flattery was written all over Ngo Min's face. Seeing this, a wicked idea immediately popped into Ton Than Yan's head. He told him that if Ngo Min wanted to be his friend, he had to do him a favor first. Make Moc Ly look like a fool in front of everyone. Hearing Ton Than Yan's request was like finding gold for Ngo Min. He didn't know how Moc Ly had offended the young master. But if bullying Moc Ly meant getting closer to Tan Than Han, then this was way too easy. A plan formed in his mind instantly. Meanwhile, Moc Ly and Tu Ji Kai were hanging out by the buffet table. You wouldn't think she was a wealthy young lady by the way she ate. She had already scarfed down several cakes in a row, completely disregarding her public image. Moc Ly told Tu Ji Kai to slow down, but she kept eating like she had just survived a famine. Suddenly, Moc Ly heard No Min calling his name. When he turned around, he even saw the guy waving enthusiastically. Moc Ly knew very well that this guy calling him over meant he was up to no good. However, out of curiosity, he wanted to see what kind of scheme they were cooking up, so he started walking over. As he got closer, he realized Tan Than Yan was there too. Before he could even react, the guy suddenly screamed, "What the hell are you doing? Why are you stealing my things?" After shouting, he staged a fake fall onto the ground. Ngo Min caught him and started yelling at the top of his lungs too. "Moc Ly, what do you think you're doing? You stole his things and now you're getting violent? Have you no shame at all?" Moc Ly was a bit shocked, mostly because he didn't expect these two grown men to come up with such a childish framing tactic. Thanks to their loud shouting, a crowd quickly gathered around to watch the drama unfold. This was exactly the reaction those two bastards wanted. With everyone watching, Ngo Min began his sob story, claiming that since high school, Moc Ly's character had always been despicable. Seeing the noisy crowd, Kui Zhao rushed through the middle and stood in front of Moc Ly to protect him. "Everyone, there must be some mistake. Moc Ly would never do something like this. Miss Kui Zhao is way too innocent. How could she possibly see through his true colors? Moc Ly, you're at Kui Zhao's birthday party and you steal from young Master Tan? How can you treat her invitation with such disrespect?" Ngo Min's voice grew louder and louder, aiming to draw as much attention as possible. Meanwhile, Tan Than Han secretly approached Moc Ly from behind. He had a gold watch hidden in his hand, pretending to pull it out of Moc Ly's pocket before shouting out again. "Look everyone, this is my watch. Why was it in his pocket? Moc Ly is clearly a thief. Do you two really think I am an idiot? Or do you think everyone here is a fool?" Moc Ly sneered before shoving Tan Than Nan to the ground. Sun Daifu saw what was happening and rushed over in a panic, shouting at the top of his lungs, "Who the hell are you? How dare you lay a hand on my son?" Since the Sun family were VIP guests, Gui Yi panicked when he saw things going south and rushed over to support Sun Chengren. He then demanded that Mu Li apologize to him. Sun Daifu took it even further, refusing to let his son be humiliated. He ordered Mu Li to get on his knees and beg for forgiveness, or else he'd personally have him dragged to the police station for stealing a watch. He claimed it was his son's watch, worth hundreds of thousands. Seriously? Is it really necessary to cause such a scene over a watch worth only a few $100,000? Sujiaki finally couldn't take it anymore and joined the chaotic crowd. As soon as Sun Chengren saw her, his face turned pale. He never expected Sujiaki to show up at this party. The watch is right there in your hand, yet you have the nerve to call him a thief? Sun Chengren, do you want us to sue you for defamation? Sujiaki threatened with her hands on her hips before turning toward Mu Li. She scolded him. "Why are you wasting your breath on someone like this? I had to step in eventually, but now you're wasting my cake-eating time. Who do you think you are, you little brat, acting all high and mighty?" Gui Yi snapped back. He had no clue who Sujiaki really was. He was too focused on trying to get his daughter to mingle with rich heirs like Sun Chengren. "It's normal that you don't recognize me. Did you think just anyone has the privilege of meeting me?" Sujiaki replied, keeping her arrogant attitude. But she didn't expect that while Gui Yi didn't know her, even Sun Daifu wouldn't recognize her either. The old man even called the guards to throw her out. In Sujiaki's life, she had been welcomed with open arms everywhere she went. She had never been kicked out before. Honestly, this feeling was kind of interesting. The Gui family security guards quickly surrounded her. Mu Li pulled her behind him. He wanted to see if anyone would actually dare to touch Sujiaki while he was still standing there. You could blame Old Man Su for being way too overprotective, which meant outsiders rarely got a chance to see his daughter. So now, no one recognized the young mistress of the Su family. Sun Chengren definitely knew who she was, but seeing that no one else did, he played along and ordered the guards to charge in and beat them both up. However, as the guards rushed toward them, they suddenly felt a strange energy swirling around Mu Li. "What's going on? Is he a martial artist?" Sun Chengren asked in shock. Mu Li answered that question with action. Once the swirling energy settled, countless Mu Lis appeared before them. It was unclear if they were illusions or clones. But either way, the guards were all taken down in seconds. Sujiaki stood in the distance, and seeing this made her ecstatic. She shouted for Moc Ly to teach that old man's son a lesson for not recognizing her. Sun Daifu was already sweating bullets from the sight, but he was still running his mouth. I am the chairman of the Sun Real Estate Group. Even if you are a martial artist, you can't. He barely finished when a loud slap rang out. A crisp slap cut his words short. Moc Ly didn't care about the man's age. He slapped Sun Daifu so hard, the old man passed out instantly. Sun Chengren saw his father get knocked out right before his eyes, but he couldn't do anything except throw empty threats at Moc Ly. And of course, it didn't work. Listen closely, Moc Ly said. Just because I'm quiet doesn't mean I'm a coward you can walk all over, and it definitely doesn't give you the right to insult me. Moc Ly, you're just a martial artist. Don't get too cocky. Moc Ly suddenly remembered someone he hadn't dealt with yet, so he lunged forward and grabbed Sun Chengren's head. He grabbed Wu Ming with his other hand and smashed their heads together. The impact made them see stars before they both blacked out. Gi Yi was in a panic seeing his daughter's birthday party turn into a total disaster. He kept nagging Moc Ly to apologize properly to Sun Daifu, saying he'd only help because of Gui Zhao. He claimed he'd help Moc Ly beg for forgiveness. It was clear that Gui Yi was the most clueless person in the room. Gui Zhao tried to explain the situation, but he brushed her off. Right in the middle of the noise, Su Wen appeared with his men. The guests were stunned to see a man of his stature show up at a birthday party for a young girl like Gui Zhao. Once Su Wen entered the hall, he walked straight to Moc Ly and bowed respectfully. Mr. Wuji, my apologies for being late. What exactly happened here? Gui Yi couldn't hide his shock at how Su Wen was acting. Even if he didn't know the kid's identity, he knew exactly which way he should be leaning now. When Sun Daifu woke up and saw Su Wen standing tall right in front of him, he was terrified. He panicked even more when the head of the Su family said, Chairman's son, I hope you can do me a favor today. My daughter, her friend, and your son were just playing around. There's no need to make a big deal out of it, right? To Sun Daifu, it felt like a bolt of lightning from a clear sky. The girl he had just tried to have kicked out by security was actually Su Wen's daughter. On top of that, Moc Ly was their most honored guest. Tan Daifu swallowed his pride and fell to his knees before Moc Ly, begging for mercy for failing to recognize a true master when he saw one. But Moc Ly had zero interest in associating with trash like him and coldly told him to get lost. Now the truth was out. Moc Ly wasn't a thief. The Tun father and son were the ones playing victim while being the real culprits. After seeing how the prestigious Tu family treated someone so young with such respect, all the girls were suddenly drawn to his mysterious charm. They swarmed him, desperate for a chance to get close. While Moc Ly was being surrounded by these women, he heard Lam Viet calling his name. Mr. Wuji, the Martial Alliance wants to see you. Moc Ly silently thanked the old man for rescuing him from the crowd. This was actually the first time he had heard of this martial alliance. According to Lam Viet, they were the Huaxia Martial Artist Coalition. They took orders directly from the nation's top leadership and were responsible for everything involving Huaxia's martial artists. Their visit this time was related to the group that ambushed to Ji Kai a few days ago. Lam Viet led him to a private room and opened the door to reveal 5 or 6 people inside. The strongest person there was the one sitting on the sofa. That was Bai Shishan, the leader of the Martial Alliance's second branch in Longsun City. So this kid is Wuji? He's so young, yet he actually has the guts to challenge Feng Qi. Standing beside Bai Shishan was an arrogant young man whose condescending look immediately made Moc Ly dislike him. Just say what you want and stop beating around the bush, Moc Ly said impatiently. We received intel that Tavan's daughter was being hunted. We heard you're the little brother in charge of protecting to Ji Kai, so we just wanted to come by and say hello, Bai Shishan replied. Moc Ly just gave a dismissive grunt and turned to walk away. If that's all, then I'm heading out. To the others, his attitude was a blatant sign of disrespect toward Bai Shishan. This sent the arrogant man into a fit of rage. If Bai Shishan hadn't stepped in to stop him, a fight would have likely broken out right then and there. Bai Shishan shared a crucial piece of information. The people hunting to Ji Qi the other day were from the He Huan sect. He also warned Moc Ly that the He Huan sect was extremely powerful, so he shouldn't try to play the lone hero. He promised to have the Martial Alliance secretly shadow and protect to Ji Kai. That works, Moc Ly muttered before leaving. Boss, that brat is way too full of himself. We should have given him a proper beatdown. The arrogant man was acting like someone had stepped on his tail, completely losing his mind. Why waste your energy being angry? He's a dead man walking anyway. Bai Shishan let out a cold smirk. A guy like him stands no chance against Feng Qi. After leaving that room, Moc Ly headed back to the banquet hall to find Kui Jiao. It had been too chaotic earlier for him to give her her birthday gift. Kuai Jiao took the box and saw a shimmering jade pendant inside. Moc Ly, this is way too valuable. I can't accept this. Whether it's valuable or not doesn't matter. Just remember to always keep it on you. It can keep you safe if things ever get dangerous. Moc Ly meant it, as he had infused the jade with his own protective magic. Alright then, I'll take it. Tu Jiaikai watched the two of them talking from a distance. She was pouting and clearly annoyed, though it was hard to tell if she was jealous or just mad that Moc Ly was using her family's jade to pick up girls. After the birthday party ended, there was a masquerade ball. To show some respect for Kui Jiao, Moc Ly agreed to stay. Everyone else wore simple masks, but Tu Jiaikai had somehow found a rabbit suit that covered her from head to toe. A moment later, Kui Jiao finally appeared. She was wearing a stunning dress with wings on her back, looking exactly like a little forest fairy. Moc Ly was completely mesmerized. She really was the girl he had been head over heels for in his entire past life. In this life, Kui Jiao was still just as breathtaking. Moc Ly, let's dance together, she suggested. Moc Ly wanted to say no because he didn't know how to dance, but Kuai Jiao enthusiastically offered to teach him. So, the two of them happily held hands and walked onto the dance floor. But just as they were getting lost in the music, the lights suddenly went out. Everyone thought some kind of surprise was coming, but instead, the room was filled with a piercing scream from Tu Jiaikai. Who are you people? Let me go. Moc Ly, help me. Moc Ly rushed off immediately, leaving Kuai Jiao behind. But as soon as he left, two men approached Kui Jiao, intending to kidnap her as well, giving her the fright of her life. Just as they were about to touch her, the jade pendant around her neck that Moc Ly had given her burst with a blinding light. It was as if a solid barrier had been erected around her, making it impossible for them to lay a finger on her. Seeing that this wasn't going to be an easy job, the two thugs immediately turned and ran. They failed to kidnap Kuai Jiao, but they still managed to haul Tu Jiaikai away as their prize. The man behind all this is Hong Daoba, the hall master of the Hehuan sect. Just as the kidnappers are about to make their escape, Bai Shishan catches them red-handed. It seems these two have a long history of hatred, and both are dead set on taking the other down. While the two sides are locked in a fierce standoff, Moc Ly slowly walks into the scene. I do not give a damn about your personal beef, but right now, you either hand over Sujia Qi, or I am going to teach you a lesson you will never forget. Bai Shishan had only just said goodbye to Moc Ly, and yet here they are, meeting again under these circumstances. However, since he has a personal score to settle with Hong Daoba, he asks Moc Ly to step aside and let him handle it. Fine, I will give you exactly 1 minute. Moc Ly replies, then crosses his arms and stands to the side, looking completely out of patience. As soon as the words leave his mouth, Bai Shishan gathers his energy and charges straight at Hong Daoba, trying to land the first blow, but his opponent easily deflects the attack. They seem evenly matched, trading blows for over a dozen rounds without a clear winner in sight. That is, until Hong Daoba suddenly whips out a dagger from behind his back and plunges it deep into Bai Shishan's left chest. As a man of honor, the group leader obviously did not expect such a dirty trick, but in a fight, there is no room for mercy. The fact remains that he was stabbed. Hong Daoba is about to deliver a finishing blow when Moc Ly suddenly sends him flying with a single kick. Your 1 minute is up. I do not have time to watch you two catch up on old times. Seeing Hong Daoba covered in wounds from just one of Moc Ly's moves, Bai Shishan can only stare in utter shock. He had just looked down on the boy, thinking he would end up as a wandering ghost, but now he realizes Moc Ly's power is far beyond his own. Hong Daoba staggers to his feet, gritting his teeth as he glares at Moc Ly. Who the hell is this guy? This is infuriating. With that, he tosses a strange pill into his mouth. Instantly, Hong Daoba's body begins to transform like the Incredible Hulk. In the blink of an eye, he grows massive and several times stronger than before. He is over the moon with confidence. You really do not know your place. Now that I have taken the power-boosting pill from the old ancestor, you are nothing but flies to me. Before he can even finish his sentence, Hong Daoba sees Moc Ly vanish right before his eyes. By the time he reappears, he is right in the villain's face. Hong Daoba has no time to react before Moc Ly slams a fist into him, pinning him to the ground. It does not matter what kind of power pill he took. He does not even get a chance to use it because he has zero ability to fight back. Watching this, Bai Shishan gets goosebumps from head to toe. Moc Ly is even more terrifying than a monster. How could he have never heard of such a high-level expert before? Little did they know, While Mu Li was fighting, the young lady Su Jia had already been tied up and thrown into a car. After waking up, she slowly realizes things are looking bad. The car pulled over in a secluded spot. That scumbag Qin Thian looked at the gorgeous girl beside him with pure, disgusting greed. This little lady is quite the prize. I don't think I can hold back much longer. His advance sent Tu Jia Kai into a state of pure panic. Just as he was about to force a kiss on her, Van Shuang cut him off. What's the rush? This one belongs to the old ancestor first. We can have our fun after the old ancestor is done with her. Helpless and in tears, Tu Jia Kai could only think to herself, damn you, Moc Ly. Moc Ly, where on earth are you? Suddenly, a strange surge of energy blasted past the car. Qin Thian wondered what that was, but Van Shuang just mocked him. Are you so thirsty for girls that you're seeing things now? There's nothing there. But Tu Jia Kai recognized that blue glow. She'd seen it before. Moc Ly was finally here. In the blink of an eye, he used his powers to hoist the entire car into the air before slamming it back down, scaring the absolute crap out of everyone inside. Van Shuang was reaching his breaking point with this meddling brat. He kicked the door open and pulled out a gun to teach Moc Ly a lesson, screaming that he'd blow him to pieces while unloading his clips. But little did he know, Moc Ly was faster than a speeding bullet. Realizing he was outmatched, Van Shuang tried a different tactic. Don't forget, we've still got the girl. He hauled a dazed Tu Jia Kai out of the car, holding her tightly while barking out threats. Don't you dare come any closer, or we'll toss her into the ocean to feed the sharks. Moc Ly just smirked and challenged him. Oh yeah? You think you've got the guts? Turns out, Van Shuang wasn't just all talk. He snapped back. You think I won't? And without hesitation, he dropped Tu Jia Kai into the sea. Well, it looks like Moc Ly is about to show him exactly what happens when you cross the wrong person. He lunged forward and slammed a powerful strike into the back of Van Shuang's neck, sending him stumbling before he finally blacked out. Without a second thought, Moc Ly dove straight down to save Jia Kai. Thankfully, he managed to catch her just before she plunged into the ocean. Moc Ly unleashed his inner energy and pulled Jia Kai tightly into his arms. In her dazed state, she felt his embrace was so warm and comforting. Jia Kai was finally safe and sound, having been brought back to the Tu family estate. Moc Ly asked Van if he had any news. The man revealed that all the assassins had swallowed poison to take their own lives, including Hong Dao Ba. While he was brooding over the fact that the trail had gone cold once again, Jia Kai suddenly woke up and asked if he could come over to her for a moment. Following her lead, Moc Ly went over to check on her. Are you feeling any better? But Jia Kai just clenched her fists in a rage, lunging at him with a frustrated scream. You jerk, Moc Ly. I am going to kill you. You liar. You promised you would protect me, and you failed. To Van scolded Jia Kai. Watch your mouth. If it weren't for Mr. Vokuk, you would be dead by now. Surprisingly, Moc Ly just calmly apologized. My bad, it is my fault. I will make sure to protect you better next time. Hearing that, Jia Kai just froze in place. What is up with this blockhead today? He politely asked her. Can you get off me now? She jumped up, blushing like crazy, and sat there as quiet as a kitten. Van cleared his throat. Mr. Vokuk, the old man wants to see you. At the Tu residence, Thon Nan and his son bowed low in apology to Moc Ly. Mr. Vokuk, about last time. We were blind and disrespectful. You are a big man for not holding a grudge. Please, take this small token of our appreciation. He glanced at a check for 10 million and said coolly, just leave it. But if you ever go near my sister again, there will be no mercy. Thon Nan cowered, we wouldn't dream of it. Moc Ly thought to himself, it looks like Fong Thick is finally making his move. He glanced toward the window and decided to head to an internet cafe to dig up some intel. As he logged onto the global black market site, he thought, Fong Thick is back, and he is clearly ready for blood. Sure enough, Fong Thick had announced his return from abroad. His next target was Jia Kai. People online were already gossiping, saying what a shame it was for the Tu family beauty to die so young. In a small place like Long Sun, if Fong Thick wants someone dead, who can stop him? Is not there still Vokuk? Winning that 20 million reward takes some skill, sure. But so what if Vokuk has a little talent? Have you seen what kind of monster Fong Thick is? Even if Vokuk is good, he is no match for him. Moc Ly thought for a moment, then used his Vokuk account to post a status. Who the hell is Fong Thick anyway? I have been training since I was a kid. I am a once-in-a-millennium martial arts genius. Fong Thick is just a butcher. He is nothing to me. Today, I am opening a bet. 10-1 if I win, 1-1 for Fong Thick. I am putting up 10 million of my own. So, are you betting on me or that hack Fong Thick? The news reached the Tu family. Mr. Vo Kuk created a betting arena on the forum. Lam Viet confirmed with Tu Van. That is right. It even got Fong Thick's attention. He just bet 10 million on himself. Tu Van immediately ordered his men to bet another 20 million on Mr. Vo Kuk. Meanwhile, Ji Kai was whining at a scenic spot. I do not care. I want to go out and play. Suddenly, the phone in Moc Ly's hand buzzed. A notification popped up. Someone named Left Blade supported Fong Thick with 200,000 and left a comment. Go Fong Thick, crush that Vo Kuk guy. Another user, Mighty Cucumber, threw in 100,000 for Fong Thick. Kill him, teach that idiot Vo Kuk a lesson. But those were just chump change. The Tu group just placed a massive 20 million bet on Vo Kuk, and the wager was confirmed. Moc Ly burst out laughing when he saw it. Ji Kai was annoyed that he was ignoring her. Moc Ly, how dare you ignore me? She was about to teach him a lesson when he immediately surrendered. Okay, I am listening. But Moc Ly seemed to be waiting for something, impatiently wondering, is he here yet? Seeing him zone out again, Ji Kai asked, what are you looking at? Are you coming with me or what? She ran around the garden, humming to herself. I want to find my Romeo, the one who saved me. I could not see his face, but his hug was so warm. And he could actually fly. He was like, out of this world handsome. But Moc Ly's expression turned dead serious. He grabbed Ji Kai's hand and pulled her toward the house. No way. He felt a surge of killing intent nearby. Fong Thick was definitely here. She kept babbling. What is your problem? If my hero were here right now, he would blow you away with one punch. Moc Ly gently slipped a jade bracelet onto her wrist, but she complained it was hideous. I am not wearing this. Moc Ly used his sheer presence to shut her down. You have to wear it. Promise me you will stop being so stubborn, okay? This is to protect you. Being so close to him made her blush, and she whispered, Fine, I will do it. 4 hours later, Ji Kai was lying down, singing at the top of her lungs. Love is a beam of light, so beautiful it is scary. While she was off in her own world, Moc Ly was on high alert. He wondered why the guy had not made a move yet. He was surprisingly cautious. Is it because I'm standing right next to her? Let me give him a little opening. He called out, Ji Kai, I think I saw a little white rabbit over there. The innocent girl jumped up. Really? Where? Moc Ly said, over by the flower bed. It should still be there. She could not contain her excitement and bolted off to find it. She ran around the yard dozens of times, calling out, Little bunny, come out. I have a carrot for you. But Fong Thick still had not taken the bait. Suddenly, a strange, chilling wind swept through the area. Ji Kai noticed something was off and leaned in to see what was happening. Moc Ly could already sense that his prey was starting to make a move. He easily parried the assassin's first strike. But when that guy, Fong Thick, swung a second blow and screamed, Die! That was when Moc Ly realized he was the actual target. Fong Thick unleashed a series of lethal, tricky maneuvers. The assassin lunged forward with his cold light strike, but before he could even land a hit, Moc Ly punched him right in the face. He went tumbling across the ground, rolling 3 or 4 times before grunting to himself, This is bad. I botched the ambush. This is going to be a nightmare to handle. Moc Ly mocked him from across the way. Not a bad sneak attack, but your skills are still amateur at best. Fong Thick pulled a grenade from his pocket and thought, I have no choice but to use a smoke screen. After a loud blast and a thick cloud of dust, he thought he'd make a clean getaway, but to his horror, Moc Ly was right on his heels. Fong Thick was completely losing it. He wondered, how is this possible? The guy is just a martial artist. How can he be this fast? Even more shocking was that Moc Ly only needed a few basic moves and was already closing in to capture Fong Thick alive. Backed into a corner, he used his final trump card and roared, You forced my hand. But the moment Moc Ly landed, the guy had completely vanished. He looked at the lake in front of him and remarked, He disappeared that fast? Little did he know, 30 minutes later, Fong Thick was practically trying to sleep at the bottom of the lake. The guy probably thought he had escaped, but if he stayed down there for just a few more minutes, he really would have ended up dead. When he finally surfaced for air, he was greeted with a compliment. Not bad. Holding your breath for that long, you must have gone through some serious training, big guy. Seeing that Moc Ly was still waiting for him, he gasped. What? The very next day, the entire internet cafe was in an absolute frenzy. A guy who had bet everything on Fong Thick screamed, How can this be? My entire fortune is gone. People passing by whispered. Another one went crazy over gambling. Just ignore him, and let's go. On the latest news page, the Era Forum posted a short bulletin. On the night of April 23, 2031, Phong Thich failed the assassination, Vo Kuk is the victor. Previously, on December 20th, 2022, Phong Thich successfully assassinated a rank 20 elite martial artist and became famous overnight. On December 20th, 2023, Phong Thich successfully assassinated the young lady of the Du family, 10 million reward. On December 20th, 2024, Phong Thich successfully assassinated martial artist Ngo, 30 million reward. His body was eventually recovered from the Longmian River. On April 23, 2031, Phong Thich was no match for Vo Kuk and was killed in action. The readers were spinning in circles over this rising star. Some were cursing. Phong Thich is absolute trash. You ruined my youth, my spirit, and all my money. I am willing to bet this Vo Kuk guy bribed Phong Thich just to mess with us. If that is true, he must have made a killing, right? How devious. The guy who bet on Phong Thich clutched his head, thinking that if that were true, this Vo Kuk guy was truly a sinister mastermind. Flashing back to the night before, Phong Thich was stunned by Moc Ly's skill. You can actually walk on water? Deep down, he was wondering if he even had a chance to win. Moc Ly praised him. You are actually pretty good at hiding your energy signature. Phong Thich suddenly changed his tone. You want to learn? Then pull me out of here first. This river water is freezing. Moc Ly agreed to fish him out. But as soon as he was halfway up, a wicked smile spread across Phong Thich's face as he pulled a hidden dagger from his sleeve. He gripped it tight and lunged at Moc Ly, screaming, "Go to hell!" He never expected the kid to be able to block his strike with just a single finger. Moc Ly casually said, "You really think you can kill me? You are not even on my level." Realizing he was outmatched, Phong Thich kicked off the ground and leaped high into the air. He cursed furiously in his head, "How is this possible?" But then, Moc Ly simply flicked the dagger in his hand. With one move, Phong Thich was taken down, and his body fell back into the water with a loud splash. As Moc Ly coldly turned to leave, his phone buzzed with a notification. He opened it to see a message from Moc Han. "Big brother, when are you coming home? Mom says she misses you." After reading it, Moc Ly just smiled and whispered to himself, "Just wait for me. This time, I won't let any of you suffer anymore." On the subway that morning, he decided that this time, he would return home with his head held high. He looked down at the black card in his hand. This was the card Gi Kai had given him. "Moc Ly, this is the money you won on the forum, a total of 500 million. Go home quickly this time, but make sure you come back, okay? You still have to help me find that great hero from before." He couldn't help but chuckle. If she ever found out that I was that hero. Actually, forget it. She would probably pester me to death if she knew. A moment later, the intercom announced that the passengers had reached the final station. Noticing the girl next to him was still fast asleep, he gently nudged her. "Hey, wake up. We are at the last stop. Everyone else is already gone." Outside the station, a group of thugs were waiting and whispering among themselves. "Have you found the woman from the Du family yet?" "No, boss, not yet." The leader snapped. "You bunch of useless idiots. I guess I have to handle this myself." They walked right up to Moc Ly. The leader, who looked like a total brute, sneered. "Haven't we already found her?" He said coldly, "Du Hu Dong, we meet again. Hand over the revival serum that the master pharmacist created. Do that, and we might just let you live." Hu Dong turns to Moc Ly and says, "You need to get out of here. It is way too dangerous." Go Hong, feeling ignored, bellows, "How dare you two whisper right in front of me?" Hu Dong moves fast, grabbing Moc Ly's hand to make a run for it. Ngo Hong snarls, "Don't even think about escaping today. Get them, all of you. That brat has the resurrection potion." Hu Dong tells him, "I will hold Eno Hong back. Use the chaos to run for your life. I cannot let an innocent person die because of me." But Ngo Hong is already right on their heels. He releases a terrifying aura shaped like claws and warns, "You had better start worrying about your own skin first." She instinctively shoves Moc Ly aside and pulls out a protective shield. "I will not let you have your way." But facing his overwhelming power, she is still a bit outmatched. Seeing her shield shatter, he gets even more arrogant. The little genius of the Yu family actually lives up to the hype, huh? Too bad for you. Meeting me, Ngo Hong, means your life is over. Without a shred of mercy, he delivers a brutal punch to her stomach. Moc Ly has been watching the whole time, staying silent until now. Ngo Hong snatches the vial from her and sneers. They say this resurrection potion can bring back the dead. Too bad that old man of yours cannot wait any longer. Crushed by his power, Hu Dong blames herself. Grandpa, I am so sorry. I am useless. Meanwhile, Ngo Hong is barking orders at Moc Ly. Hey kid, did I say you could leave? Hu Dong tries to warn him. Run, now. You are just a normal person. You will not survive his eagle claw fist. Unfortunately, Moc Ly is already cornered by Ngo Hong's lackeys. Think you can run? Die. He tosses them aside like they are nothing, not even breaking a sweat. He looks at them with pure disgust. Just a bunch of annoying flies. Ngo Hong is stunned into silence watching the boy take out 5 of his men all at once. He decides to step in and teach the kid a lesson personally. But Moc Ly only needs one single punch to completely wreck him. The impact is so violent that Ngo Hong is sent flying from one end of the train car to the other, followed by the sound of glass shattering everywhere. Horribly injured and spitting out blood, Ngo Hong stammers. Are you a martial sovereign? In this entire province, Liu Wusheng is the only sovereign. But at your age, could you be Huang Fuyun, who is about to break through? Moc Ly just gives a cold reply. Never heard of them. He turns to Hu Dong. Hey kid, you okay? She confirms she is fine. Terrified, Ngo Hong hands back the resurrection potion and starts begging for forgiveness. I was blind for not recognizing your greatness. Please forgive me. Once it is over, she speaks up. This potion is everything to me. Can I have it back? He hands it over, saying, if this thing is so important to you guys, why would you keep it in such a flimsy glass tube? If it breaks even once, well, I should not have jinxed it. Their hands slip, and the vial hits the floor, shattering into a million pieces. Both of them stare down in absolute horror. Hu Dong loses it, clinging to Moc Ly's leg and demanding he replace the potion. She figures since things have come to this, she will have to use her charms to win him over. My looks are my ultimate weapon. Thinking fast, she pulls herself together and puts on a weak, helpless act. What am I going to do? That potion was the only thing that could save my grandpa. Moc Ly casually agrees to help. Don't sweat it. I will pay you back by saving your grandpa myself. Hu Dong grabs his arm, cheering with joy. That is wonderful. Thank you so much. In her head, she is thinking her brother was right. She really did find her lifesaver. But it is hard to tell who is playing who. Moc Ly looks at her and thinks, wow, she is acting pretty confident. They leave the station to find someone waiting. It is Yu Hu Hung, 27 years old, and Hu Dong's brother. He is curious about the guy with his sister. Hu Dong feels awkward. Brother, let's talk on the way. The whole ride is filled with a suffocating, awkward silence. Finally, Hu Hung breaks the ice. Sis, did you get the resurrection potion? Knowing she cannot hide it anymore, she stammers. Well, it is a long story. Hu Hung nearly jumps out of his seat. What? The potion broke? The BMW swerves violently, making Hu Dong scream, hey, watch the road. A while later, they arrive at the Yu family estate. The 2 top doctors are there, shaking their heads as they talk to the siblings. Master Yu really is not going to make it. Hu Dong's eyes well up with tears, and she sprints into the house. Outside, Hu Hung buries his face in his hands. What now? The potion is destroyed. Hu Dong bursts into the room, throwing the door open. Grandpa! Seeing her, Yu Feng is filled with joy. Thank goodness you are home. I heard your brother mention the potion on the phone. When she starts to apologize, the second master, Yu Feng's younger brother, snaps. I told you not to let her go on that top secret mission to the capital alone. Now the medicine is gone. How are we supposed to save him? Ignoring the noise, Hu Dong speaks up. Dad, I actually found a master. He might be the only one who can save Grandpa now. Yu Feng gasped when he heard the news. That is wonderful. Quick, take everyone to meet this gentleman right away. She pointed toward the door and introduced the young-looking Moc Ly as the mysterious Mr. Mu. The second uncle burst out laughing. You Xiaodong, have you lost your damn mind? You just dragged some random brat off the street to treat Grandpa? Yu Feng, are you treating the old man's life like some kind of joke? If something goes wrong, are you going to take responsibility? The old man also felt that this young man did not look very reliable. He wondered why Xiaodong would choose someone like this. Moc Ly did not say a word as he walked up to the hospital bed. He then used a special technique to examine the old man's condition, leaving everyone there speechless. He concluded that the internal injuries to the meridians were blocked, causing the energy flow to stall. The second uncle snapped, "Who gave you permission to touch my father?" Karma hit him instantly as he was slammed into the wall, knocked out cold on the spot. The witnesses were absolutely terrified. The second uncle was the strongest martial artist in the Yu family, so it was clear this young man was anything but ordinary. Yu Feng clasped his hands, signaling his consent for the treatment. "Mr. Mu, please tell us, how can we treat the old man's illness?" This was met with immediate pushback from Dr. Zhang Ba. "This is preposterous. I have never seen such a ridiculous way of taking a pulse. If you people have chosen another healer, then I will be on my way. I am done here. Let me warn you all, the old man's illness has reached his very bones. At this point, not even a miracle from heaven can reverse his fate." Those words left Yu Feng deep in thought, unsure if he should trust the boy. Xiao Dong also expressed her deep concern. "Mr. Mu, is my grandfather really beyond saving?" He replied, "It is just a minor internal injury." She let out a long sigh of relief. Moc Ly announced that all the old man needed was a good beating. They shouted in unison, "You said what?" Yu Feng was baffled. "A beating? Mr. Mu, what exactly has the Yu family done to offend you?" Xiao Dong did not quite understand what Moc Ly meant either, so he explained that this was actually the simplest method. Right then, the second uncle woke up. He ran over, barking insults. "You rotten brat, how dare you hit me? What do you think you are doing without my permission?" Before he could even finish his sentence, he took another kick from Moc Ly. The power was so overwhelming that he had to wonder, what kind of strength is this? Moc Ly said nothing. He quietly pulled back the old man's blanket, and soon the sound of heavy punches and kicks echoed throughout the entire house. Xiao Dong watched her grandfather receive this special treatment, and her heart ached with worry. "Grandpa, I am so sorry. Could I have picked the wrong person?" Moc Ly continued to strike the old man with powerful palm thrusts, hitting him over and over from one spot to another. Everyone thought the method was bizarre, but no one dared to step in. Afterward, the old man was tossed back onto the bed with a thud. Moc Ly did not stop there. He flipped the old man over and performed another round of treatment. Finally, the session came to an end. Seeing the old man lying there motionless, the second uncle started running his mouth again. "Yu Feng, oh Yu Feng, you have gone and killed the old man. This is a disgrace to our family. Hand over your position as the head of the house right now." To his surprise, Xiao Dong shouted that he was waking up. The old man really had regained consciousness. He sat up and let out a few dry coughs. The second uncle asked, "Father, how are you feeling?" The old man replied, "I feel wonderful. I have never felt this refreshed in my entire life. My internal injuries, they are gone. I am completely fine now." Moc Ly then moved to take his leave. "Your meridians are clear now, and your cultivation level has even improved. I will be going now." To repay this great debt, Yu Feng spoke up. "It is an honor for the Yu family that Mr. Mu stepped in to help. From now on, if you need anything, the Yu family will do everything in our power to assist you." He thought for a moment, and then had an idea. "Right, do you guys have any ancient herbs, preferably something at least 100 years old?" Yu Feng agreed, though he noted that 100-year-old herbs are rare, and finding them is like looking for a needle in a haystack. "We used up our supply when the old man was bedridden, but since Mr. Mu is asking, we will put all our effort into searching for more." He used the excuse of having personal matters to attend to, and asked to leave first. Yu Feng instructed the driver to make sure Mr. Mu got home safely. After everything that happened, Xiao Dong had developed a deep sense of admiration for Moc Ly. Finally, he was able to head back home. Sitting in the car, Moc Ly whispered to himself, "In my past life, Mom worked herself to the bone for me, only to be framed and killed in the end. In this life, I will make sure she lives in a grand house, filled with happiness and peace." Mu Xin was taking out the trash when she heard someone call her name. Seeing her brother's silhouette approaching, she cheered with joy. "Big brother, you are finally home." Inside their small house, the three of them finally sat down for a meal together for the first time in a long while. Chen Yuan put some food on her son's plate and gave him some advice. "My little Li, you need to eat more, you are still growing. While you are living on your own, if you ever run out of money, just tell me, okay?" He did not say anything. He just stared at the burn scar on his mother's hand. It was from a day more than 10 years ago. 8-year-old Moc Ly was helping his mother cook dinner. He looked at the delicious-smelling pot of soup and said, "It is finally finished." But back then, Moc Ly was still so small that he basically could not carry such a heavy pot of soup. Right at that moment, Even though Tran Vien was running a high fever, she forced herself up, blaming herself for accidentally falling asleep. I have to go make dinner, but as soon as she walked into the kitchen, she saw her young son struggling with a pot of hot soup, looking like he was about to fall. She was scared half to death and screamed out in a panic. Moc Ly, watch out, you're going to drop that hot soup. She rushed over as fast as she could to catch it, but it was too late. With a loud crash and a scream, Moc Ly and the soup went flying across the floor. Food was scattered everywhere. Tran Vien didn't get angry at her son. Instead, she tenderly checked on him. Moc Ly, honey, are you hurt? Are you okay? With tears welling up in his eyes, Moc Ly replied, Mom, I'm fine, but look at your arm. That was when Tran Vien finally noticed her own injury. Her arm was covered in blisters from trying to shield him. She comforted him, saying, It's nothing, sweetie. I'll just soak it in some cold water, and it will be fine. Back in reality, Moc Ly was washing the dishes, overcome with guilt. I'm so sorry, Mom. I'm always the one getting you hurt. I'm sorry for being such a loser in my past life. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get Chu the Hang on my side to protect you back then. This time, he gathered his courage and took the initiative to apologize to her. But Tran Vien just gave him a gentle smile. What is this silly child talking about? Moc Ly then told her that he had earned some money and would use it to pay off their debts tomorrow. And after that, I'm going to buy us a house, Mom. She firmly shook her head, saying, It is not easy to earn money, son. Don't go throwing it away like that. Moc Ly looked at her with pure affection and said, Mom, I just want you to have a better life. Hearing that, Tran Vien thought to herself, Oh, honey, our little Moc Ly has really grown up. He is so much more mature now, seeing his 180-degree change in attitude. She could not refuse him anymore. All right, I will leave it all up to you. The very next day, Moc Ly headed out early to look at houses. He thought to himself that the neighborhood was great and the prices were not too crazy, so his mom probably would not refuse to live there. Just then, a luxury car pulled up, making everyone gasp. It was a Ferrari F12 TDF. Must be nice to be rich. A girl named Chu Mi stepped out of the car, acting all clingy and cute. Babe, this building does not look bad at all, she cooed. She was with a man named Chu Van Dat, 35 years old. He was the product director at Hong Hai Company. He sounded like a total sugar daddy as he said, Anything you want, baby. Seeing them together, people nearby started gossiping. Look at that. How does a fat, ugly guy like him get such a hot girlfriend? Well, money talks. Chu Mi shot them a dirty look and muttered with total contempt, What a bunch of losers. Inside, a sales rep was giving Moc Ly a pitch. Our company is heavily investing in this prime location right now. The Jiangtan Garden Estates are in a perfect spot. The environment is just as good as any 4-star luxury resort. Plus, it is super convenient for commuting. These buildings have been incredibly popular. Most units were sold before we even finished building, so there are not many left. Moc Ly told the saleswoman. Keep going. I want a unit facing the front. Ideally, one with a view of the Long Mien River. Natural light is key, and money is no object. Suddenly, Chu Mi spotted a familiar face, lowered her sunglasses, and called out to Moc Ly. He did not recognize her at first and asked who she was. She took her glasses all the way off to jog his memory. It is me, Chu Mi, the girl you used to follow around like a puppy in middle school, calling me pretty sister. You are actually trying to buy a house? Weren't you dirt poor? This place is expensive. I bet you cannot even afford the front door. That was when Moc Ly realized who she was. Back then, Chu Mi had tricked him into spending all his money on gifts for her. But behind his back, she told everyone that Moc Ly was a joke, saying he would do anything she asked, just like a loyal dog. He wondered to himself, why does she look so different? Plastic surgery? Meanwhile, Chu Mi turned to the saleswoman. We will take this house. But Moc Ly quickly whipped out a black card to shut her up, saying, Sorry, I have already bought it. The employee had to break the news to Chu Mi. I am so sorry, but there is only one unit left in this building, and this gentleman was here first. Perhaps you two could look at the other available units? They are also very nice, just as good as the one he is looking at. Chu Mi started trashing him again. Don't believe a word he says. I went to school with him. I know him better than anyone. His family is broke. There is no way he has that kind of money. We, on the other hand, can pay half up front. Go ahead. Just try to run his card. Moc Ly let the staff member swipe his card, but as soon as she did, the machine let out a loud beep, signaling an error. The employee looked at Moc Ly awkwardly and said, The payment failed. Is it possible the PIN is wrong, sir? Chu Mi started gloating even more. I told you, he is just a poser. Moc Ly figured it might be a bank error, so he just transferred 5 million yuan directly. The saleswoman announced that the transfer was successful. Congratulations, sir. You are now the owner of this home. Chu Mi threw a temper tantrum. But babe, I want this house. Chu Van Dat then called over a sales manager named Van Kwok Duke. The manager came scurrying over, acting all submissive. Mr. Chu, what brings you here today? You should have told me you were coming. The old man explained. I just wanted to buy a house. And I didn't want to bother you. But your subordinate here was being completely unreasonable. So I had no choice. Kwok Duke, terrified of losing a VIP client, quickly chimed in, Of course, there's always a way, isn't there? Chu Dot added cryptically, Well then, I'll leave it in your hands. Kwok Duke then walked over to Moc Ly and suggested, Look kid, let's make a deal. If you give up this house, we'll set you up with another one and give you a 20% discount. How does that sound? But the boy just shook his head firmly, refusing to budge. Seeing this, Kwok Duke raised his voice aggressively. Listen kid, don't make me do this the hard way. We can do this nicely, or we can do it the painful way. You need to understand who you're dealing with. This building belongs to the Du family's real estate empire. Have you ever heard of the North Province Du family? We can make sure you never buy a single property from us again. Right at that moment, Hugh Hung and his assistants happened to be walking by. He told them, Send me the meeting documents later today. Yes, President Du. He was just saying the performance of our Jiangtan Garden project is looking very solid. Suddenly, his eyes drifted toward the two men arguing, and he instantly recognized him. It was Mr. Moc. Meanwhile, Kwok Duke was still threatening the boy, demanding he give up the room out of respect for the Du family's reputation. Hugh Hung took the initiative and spoke up first. Mr. Moc, I didn't expect to run into you here. This is a wonderful surprise. He then walked over and shook his hand with extreme politeness. Mr. Moc, my name is Du Hugh Hung. We met briefly when you and Hugh Dong were leaving the train station. I was driving at the time, so you probably don't remember me much. Chu Dot watched this scene in total confusion. Can someone please tell me why young Master Du is being so incredibly respectful to that kid? Seeing a familiar face, Moc Ly took the opportunity to ask for a favor. Ah, I remember you now. Could you help me settle something? I'm trying to buy a house with a river view, but I've run into a bit of a problem. Hearing this, Hugh Hung's face darkened with rage. He roared. What kind of problem? Who dares to be disrespectful to the Du family's benefactor? Terrified of getting caught in the crossfire, Kwok Duke immediately pointed the finger. President Chu told me to do it. Chu Dat had no choice but to step forward and take the blame. President Du, Mr. Moc, I was blind. I have eyes but couldn't see the greatness standing before me. I sincerely beg for your forgiveness. It was my fault. I'm a fool. Hugh Hung then made a cold declaration. Chu Van Dat, from this day forward, you are permanently banned from every property owned by the Du family. If you set foot on our land, you will deal with the consequences. Chu Dat could only tuck his tail and flee. Chu Mi followed behind him, completely baffled. What's going on? Isn't he just that poor loser from the Moc family? I still remember his pathetic, broke self. A few tricks and he usually wags his tail and follows orders. Suddenly, the old man turned around and delivered a stinging slap across her face. You stupid woman. You're useless. This is all your fault for bringing this trouble upon us. It's over. If I've offended the Du family, my life is practically finished. Back inside, Hugh Hung was still busy apologizing. Mr. Moc, I am so sorry. We consider you our lifesaver, and I never imagined something like this would happen. Moc Ly placed a hand on his shoulder and replied, Forget it. I don't plan on taking this any further. A day later, the whole family had moved into the new place. Tran Vien looked around the luxurious, magnificent house and gasped, Little Ly, this place couldn't have been cheap, right? He reassured her. Mom, don't worry about it. I can handle things now. Suddenly, a guy popped out of nowhere to greet everyone. He introduced himself. Hey there. I'm your neighbor from across the hall. The name's Tran Long. I hope we can look out for each other. He then took special notice of Moc Han. Well, hello there. Have we met somewhere before? You seem so incredibly familiar to me. Moc Ly found him annoying and called Tran Long over for a second. The guy asked curiously, Hey brother, what's up? Moc Ly gave him a cold warning. If you dare get close to my sister again, I'll beat the life out of you. He then asked, By the way, Is that black eye of yours from trying to hit on someone else's sister? Hearing this, Tran Long took on a mysterious expression. Look, brother, since you've all moved in, I might as well tell you the truth about this place. Once Moc Ly gave him the green light to speak, he leaned in close and whispered, "This house is haunted." Tran Long explained, "From the first day I moved in, I felt like something was off. I always felt a chill down my spine, like some ghostly wind was blowing past me. That night, there was a massive storm outside with thunder and lightning. I was lying in bed when suddenly, a woman wrapped her arms around me. Since I live all alone, I screamed and kicked her right off the bed with everything I had. I grabbed the bedside lamp and started swinging wildly. After that, I don't really remember what happened." Moc Ly knew Tran Long was leaving out the embarrassing parts, so he pushed him. "You don't remember, huh?" Tran Long finally confessed, "Fine." The next day, she brought a whole group of people to jump me. They demanded double the money for her time and her medical bills. Moc Ly couldn't believe his ears. He gave the guy a sharp flick to the forehead and said, "Are you serious? Were you so drunk that you've lost your mind?" Tran Long frantically tried to explain, "Wait, I'm not done. That same night after I got beaten up, I was woken up by a tapping on the window. When I got up to look, I saw a female ghost with long black hair and a white dress, wailing mournfully. That ghost kept crying out, 'Let me in.' After that, all sorts of weird things started happening. The lights would flicker off, the faucets would turn on by themselves. I'd even feel cold air blowing in my ear, and there was always a smell of garlic. That's why I finally decided to sell the place." Moc Ly realized if he didn't deal with this now, his mother and Moc Han would be in trouble. So, he decided to talk to Tran Long. "Hey man, why don't you stay at a hotel tonight? Just give me your keys, and I'll stay at your place instead. I promise everything will be peaceful by tomorrow, and no one will mess with you ever again." Hearing that, Tran Long handed over the keys, looking absolutely thrilled. "Really? That's amazing. I finally found my savior." That night at Tran Long's house, Moc Ly stayed wide awake. Using his professional skills, he sensed the female ghost arriving. Sure enough, in the blink of an eye, a chilling energy filled the entire room. Moc Ly decided to take the initiative. "Hey there, it's the middle of the night. Do you mind telling me what you're doing here?" The ghost girl spoke with a gloomy tone, saying, "My legs, they're gone." At that moment, an icy wind blew through the window. She asked, "Can I have yours?" Moc Ly calmly replied, "And why on earth should I give them to you? Do you even have shoes to wear?" For the first time, Xiao Bai was stunned. She'd never met someone who wasn't terrified of her. The room went dead, silent. Moc Ly casually lay back down on the bed and said, "If that's all, I'm going back to sleep." Xiao Bai snapped into attack mode. "If you won't give them to me, I'll just take them." Then, she lunged at Moc Ly. After a few rounds of punching and kicking, Xiao Bai ended up with a massive lump on her head. She sat there throwing a tantrum, crying, "What is wrong with you? Who hits a ghost? That really hurt. Just wait, I'm going to bite you to death." But Moc Ly simply grabbed her hand and pressed a surge of spiritual energy into her forehead. In an instant, Xiao Bai's true form was revealed, a beautiful girl with her hair neatly tied back, looking far less terrifying. Feeling a bit embarrassed, she asked, "Why aren't you afraid of me?" Moc Ly shrugged. "What's there to be afraid of? You don't seem like a bad person. Why are you going around scaring people anyway? What's your name? Where are you from?" Xiao Bai refused to cooperate, turning her head away defiantly. "Why should I tell you anything?" But as soon as she saw Moc Ly raising his hand for another round, she spilled everything. "My name is Zhang Xiao Bai. 2 years ago, I was just a freshman at North State University. Back then, this place wasn't finished yet. It was just an abandoned construction site. I tried to take a shortcut through here one day, but I fell into a hole and broke both my legs. There was no one around. I just lay there, gasping for air, until I died that night." Moc Ly fell silent for a moment, then asked what she was thinking about before she died, or if she had any regrets. Xiao Bai began to sob as she told her story. "When I was little, my parents fought all the time. After the divorce, my mom took my sister and left, while I stayed with my dad. My dad was a hopeless alcoholic and gambler who beat and cursed at me constantly. Back then, my sister would sneak over to visit and bring me good food. When I got to middle school, my dad died after falling into a lake while drunk. My mom couldn't afford to take me in either. So, my sister dropped out of school to work and earn money just so I could keep studying. She's the best sister in the world. Before I died, I was so scared. I didn't want to leave her yet. She worked so hard to get me into North State University. I hadn't even repaid her yet, or given her a better life. How could I just die like that? I couldn't. When I became a ghost, I wanted to fly to her immediately to see how she was. But I couldn't go very far. My soul started to fade, so I've been stuck wandering around here, unable to leave. I just want to see her one more time. Moc Ly felt a pang of sympathy for the poor girl's tragic fate. He spoke softly to Xiao Bai. I have a way to help you leave this place. She looked at him in disbelief. Are you serious? Can you really get me out of here? Her eyes were filled with a hope she'd held onto for a very long time. Moc Ly explained. In the world of cultivation, fallen cultivators can use possession or rare treasures to rebuild their bodies and continue their journey. But there's another way to give up the physical form and cultivate only the soul. Those people are known as ghost cultivators. Not only can I help you leave, but I can also help you be reborn. Xiao Bai was moved to tears. She promised that if he saved her, she'd serve him for life. He noted that her current soul state was very unstable. It could change at any moment, and your consciousness will slowly fade until you vanish. I have a technique that will help you strengthen your soul. It will give you immense power. Once your soul is strong enough, you can create a new body, and your soul will enter it for a complete rebirth. Xiao Bai looked at the power before her and couldn't help but marvel. This is so mystical. Moc Ly then set a condition. I can help you, but on one condition. You must obey my every command. He figured that having her around to protect his mother would give him some peace of mind. Xiao Bai was curious. So you want me to call you master and be your servant? But he just told her. You can just call me Moc Ly. She bowed and promised, thank you. Once I've cultivated back into a human form, I'll definitely repay you with my life. Moc Ly told her to stand up. Stand straight, look down at your feet, then tell me what you see. Xiao Bai replied innocently, I don't see anything unusual. Just my legs. Her face instantly darkened when she realized what he meant. Are you mocking me right now? Moc Ly casually replied. Think about it. Why would a flat-chested little brat like you, who's also a ghost, talk about repaying me with your body? Tiabok screamed in a fit of rage. Moc Ly, you absolute jerk. Her scream was so powerful that it made the entire building shake. People inside panicked and started asking each other, what's going on? Is this an earthquake? Everyone, get out of here. The next morning, when Moc Ly opened his door and stepped out, Tran Long was already waiting for him and eagerly ran over. Hey brother, are you okay? Did you run into that thing last night? You said you'd help me out. You're a man of your word, so that ghost girl definitely won't be showing up again, right? Tran Long leaned his head in and praised him in amazement. The vibe here feels so different. I don't feel that heavy dark energy anymore. It feels way more vibrant. My friend, you are truly the best. Meanwhile, Moc Ly just sighed. He had been tormented by that little girl all night and hadn't slept a wink. Last night, he had to stay up all night transferring a cultivation technique to her. It was the pure path of knowledge, where the mind acts as the anchor. A strange light surrounded Tubok before Moc Ly sealed it deep within her body. When he curiously asked her how she felt, Tubok cheered happily. I think it worked. Moc Ly suggested it was time to leave. I promised the guy living here that I'd move you out. She asked. Could you take me to see my sister first? Moc Ly just patted Tubok on the head and softly replied, You can't travel very far yet. Write down everything you want to say, and I'll go in your place. He decided to contact Hu Hung, who responded very quickly. Mr. Moc, I've finished the investigation. Her name is Truong Tu Can, and she's currently working at the Tianmin Hian Tea House. Moc Ly replied, I got it, thanks a lot. He then thought to himself that back in middle school, he had heard that Tianmin Hian was the most elite tea house in all of Bakchao. A single cup of tea there could sell for tens of millions of dong. In his past life, he had always dreamed of visiting such high-end places. As Moc Ly entered Tianmin Hian, a young receptionist proactively greeted him. Hello, sir. Are you looking to buy a specific type of tea? Would you like to brew it yourself, or should I call someone to do it for you? He asked. Is there someone named Truong Tu Can working here? The receptionist mentioned that Tu Can was the most talented tea brewer in their shop. Are you here specifically to have her brew for you? Moc Ly shook his head. No, that's not it. I have some business with her. The receptionist immediately called out. Tu Can. Someone is here to see you. A moment later, a beautiful girl named Tu Can appeared. She asked about Moc Ly's identity. Who are you? He didn't answer right away, but handed a piece of paper to Tu Can and said, Someone asked me to deliver a message to you. She read the lines written on the letter. Sister, I'm sorry. If there is a next life, I definitely want to be your sister again. She was stunned and wanted to know where he got the paper. Moc Ly had to lie, saying that a girl in an ambulance had asked him to deliver it. I forgot about it until I happened to find it again, so I came to give it to you. Tukan couldn't hold back her tears. This is Tubok's handwriting. She then collapsed to the floor, sobbing uncontrollably. My poor little sister, I'm so sorry I couldn't take care of you. Moc Ly understood this feeling better than anyone. He told himself he had to get stronger so he'd never have to experience this kind of pain ever again. Just then, Min Hien, the owner of the tea house, walked over and started pressuring her. Truong Tukan, get over here right now. 2 VIPs have arrived. Get ready and go upstairs to brew tea for them. She tried to explain through her tears. I'm so sorry, manager, but I'm not feeling very well today. Could you please ask someone else to go? Min Hien snapped at her. Stop acting so weak. Even if you aren't feeling well, suck it up and go handle those 2 gentlemen. Once you're done, I'll let you go home and rest, okay? She still refused. I'm truly sorry, sir, but in my current state, I just can't brew tea. Because of that, Min Hien couldn't help but yell, Truong Tukan, are you trying to get yourself fired? Moc Ly stepped forward and said, let her rest. I'll go brew the tea in her place. Min Hien looked at this stranger with a hint of suspicion. You're going? Do you even know how to brew tea? It's not as easy as it looks, he told the owner. Just let me go. I learned how to brew from Tukan. He then grabbed Tukan's hand, making her feel a bit embarrassed. Moc Ly reasoned with Min Hien. Besides, look at her current state. Does she look like she's fit to be brewing tea? Forcing her to go will only make things worse. The man wasn't sure if he could trust him, but he reluctantly told him to follow. He was led to VIP room number 1, where 2 men were sitting and talking. One was Old Trung, an internal martial artist. The other was Old Ly, an external martial artist. It looked like they were about to get into a physical altercation. Moc Ly calmly sat down. His hands skillfully took the tea from the jar, while his ears caught the 2 of them arguing heatedly. I'm telling you, internal martial arts are the ultimate path. With deep internal energy, you can do things an external artist could never dream of. Bullshit. Do you think you can just rely on internal energy forever? External artists push their bodies to the limit. It's the physical body that counts. As long as the chi isn't exhausted, the power is infinite. The 2 continued to argue without anyone backing down, while Moc Ly silently performed the tea brewing motions. Elder Zhang couldn't take it anymore and stood up to argue. Elder Li, do you even know what you're talking about? Did I ever say I was relying solely on internal energy? But right in the middle of the tension, he caught a whiff of a tea aroma that was incredibly special today. Elder Zhang turned to look at Moc Ly and thought to himself, this young man. Very quickly, he was captivated by the faint scent of the tea, a calm and elegant essence that made him feel as if he were drifting in a vast, peaceful sea of clouds. Elder Zhang lifted his cup and took a sip, and suddenly, a sensation like a cool breeze surged through him as fast as lightning, making him feel so refreshed that he could leave the world behind and do a somersault right into a waterfall for a dip with the immortals. Elder Li finished his sip and noticed it too. Young man, your tea-making skills are truly impressive. You must have dabbled in martial arts as well, haven't you? Why don't you tell us, in martial arts cultivation, is the external style stronger than the internal? This hit a nerve, making Elder Zhang start acting up all over again. Even if this kid knows a thing or two, how deep could his understanding of martial arts really be at his age? Are you trying to put him on the spot? Besides, it's obvious that internal martial arts are far more profound than external ones. After that, they went right back to bickering. You're wrong, external is stronger. No, internal is the way. Moc Ly watched them, totally fed up. Are they seriously arguing again? No wonder the tea house staff is so stressed. Finally, he decided to speak up. If you want my honest opinion, I'll give it to you straight. Neither of you is correct. Min Hien, who was eavesdropping outside, suddenly noticed the room go silent and wondered, why did it get so quiet all of a sudden? I hope things didn't escalate into a total mess in there. Xiao Kan was also silently praying that Moc Ly could handle the situation. The 2 old men stopped fighting and turned their interrogation toward Moc Ly instead. I can't believe we've been debating non-stop just for a young man like you to dismiss us in a single breath. Well then, what brilliant insight do you have? We're listening. He explained it to them. Both internal and external styles have their own strengths and weaknesses. Every martial art in this world has its own reason for existing. All paths eventually lead to the same sea, and all methods ultimately point toward the same great way. The two old men stared at him in shock and asked, "What kind of great way?" Moc Ly displayed a hint of his power and said, "This way is eternal." It left them completely stunned. But then Elder Zhang spoke up in protest. "Eternal? You mean like immortality? Kid, aren't you bragging a bit too much? How dare you use something so unrealistic to try and fool us?" Moc Ly remained perfectly calm as he explained. "In the path of martial arts, there is no such thing as the strongest. Only those who become stronger. Haven't you two ever considered that practicing both internal and external styles together might be more effective?" The old man countered again. "It's typical for young people to have such unrealistic fantasies. Many have tried to master both, but how many have actually achieved anything? Just like everyone else, wouldn't trying to do both just make you a laughingstock to the world?" Moc Ly's response carried a hint of disdain. Those who think they are powerful often get stuck in their own status, ready to reject anything that goes against their own stance. With that, he channeled his energy into a willow branch outside the window. Elder Ly asked what he was doing. He didn't say a word, thinking to himself, "I'll just have to use my strength to make them believe." Using his internal force, he easily plucked a willow leaf from a distance and then flicked it, sending it flying like a projectile. Elder Zhang and Elder Ly were nearly 70 years old, yet they had never seen anything like this before. Both of them were speechless and began to stammer. He used the willow leaf as an example of internal force, then jammed a spoon into the table, splitting it in half, to demonstrate external force. This display terrified them, and they couldn't help but cry out in shock. Such immense internal power and absolute control. "You are a martial sovereign." Moc Ly had a smile on his face, but inside he was thinking, "A martial sovereign? Seriously? These guys are really underestimating me." Realizing he had encountered a true master, Elder Zhang stepped forward to apologize. "Young brother, no, master, please forgive us for being so blind and speaking so recklessly." He simply told them they were exaggerating and that he was just proving that dual cultivation is possible. Elder Zhang bowed respectfully, wanting to know the master's name. He politely replied, "You're too kind. My name is Moc Ly." The old man suggested, "Master Moc Ly, with your status, why stay in this tiny tea house of mine? If you like this place, why don't I just give it to you?" Moc Ly explained that he knew a tea maker here. She wasn't feeling well earlier and couldn't serve them, so he took her place. Elder Zhang quickly guessed, "Could the lady you're talking about be Zhang Xiaojin?" He began calculating in his head. "So the tea house has someone Master Moc Ly knows. I have to make sure I stick close to this powerhouse." Seeing the young man confirm it, the old man stroked his beard, his heart racing with joy. It seems Zhang Xiaojin's relationship with Master Moc Ly is quite good. Heaven is truly on my side. Hu Min was getting anxious because he hadn't heard any commotion yet. Why has it been so long without any noise? I wonder if it's been settled. No, maybe something went wrong, and those two big shots are about to blow their tops. When he saw Moc Ly coming down, he rushed over to ask, "Well, how did it go? Tell me everything that happened." He claimed everything was settled, but after arguing with those guys for a while, I finally convinced them. Ming Xuan, however, wasn't buying it. How on earth was this considered settled? Who do those two think they are? And where did this guy get the nerve to talk back to them like that? Just then, Mu Li took his leave. "Since there's nothing else, I'll be heading out now." Ming Xuan had no choice but to go up and handle it himself, muttering under his breath as he walked. "It's over. I'm totally screwed. I'll be lucky if I even have a job by the end of the day." He stood before them, bowing deeply in apology. "Please forgive us, Your Excellencies. That kid is just a new tea server who doesn't know the rules. Don't you worry. I'll go down and teach him a lesson right now. Dock his pay and kick him out of here." Old Ly whispered a warning to him. "Old man Zhang, if Master Mu heard what your tea house manager just said." Before Ming Xuan could even wonder who this Master Mu was, the teacup on the table went flying, and the tea table itself snapped right in half. Old Zhang looked panicked, thinking to himself, "Oh Lord, please tell me he didn't hear that." To make his point even clearer, the old man stood up and barked. "I think you don't need that big mouth of yours anymore, do you? You're the one who needs to get lost." Old Ly chimed in. "Master Mu is the very kid you were just talking about." Ming Xuan stood there completely dazed, having no idea what had just happened in that tea room. Old Zhang gave a stern order. "You listen to me, and you listen well. The next time Master Mu comes to this tea house, you treat him with 10 times the respect. If there's even one tiny slip-up, I'm coming for your head." Also, that girl Zhang Xiaojin isn't bad. From now on, she's the one in charge of this place. In another corner of Jianming Xuan, Xiaojin couldn't stop the tears from falling. Every time I think of my sister, my heart just breaks. So, Moc Ly tried to comfort her. Your sister said that being your flesh and blood in this life was her greatest happiness. Don't be too sad. Who knows? Maybe you two will cross paths again someday. She told him there was no need to comfort her. I watched them cremate her body with my own eyes. How could someone possibly come back from the dead? Still, Moc Ly really meant well today. But when Xiaojin turned around, he was already gone. Even so, she whispered a quiet thank you to him. Back in Moc Ly's bedroom, Xiaobai was circling around the strange object he had just brought home, wondering what it was. Moc Ly explained that he bought this jade porcelain bottle at the market, and it would be her new home from now on. Everything Moc Ly did made Xiaobai curious. What kind of person was he really? How did he get such incredible powers? Where did you learn all this? He didn't answer, only snapping back, asking why she had so many questions. She kept pressing him anyway, and another thing, and another thing. I've heard that guys always hide shady stuff in their rooms. That shut-in living across the street has a bunch of racy magazines hidden under his bed. Do you have stuff like that too? Moc Ly helplessly unscrewed the cap of the jade bottle and declared, "All right, conversation over." But no matter how hard he tried to force Xiaobai in, she absolutely refused to go. Right at that moment, Mu Han's voice called out from outside. "Brother, are you in there?" Both of them jumped in fright. Xiaobai had no choice but to reluctantly dive into the jade bottle, just as Moc Ly said. She made a cryptic comment about him needing to watch his reputation, but he didn't quite catch his sister's drift. Mu Han warned him, "It was so noisy out here. Did you really not hear anything? If I catch you bringing some random girl home, I'm kicking you out of the house, so don't you dare blame me." Moc Ly was sweating bullets but had to act like everything was fine. "How could I ever do that? Did you need something?" She said a man named Yu Xiaoxiong was looking for him, saying he brought the medicine Moc Ly had asked for. Realizing what it was, Moc Ly decided to go out and check. He didn't forget to whisper to Xiaobai, telling her she wasn't allowed to come out for the time being, but she started throwing a tantrum inside the bottle. "What? No way. It's miserable and stuffy in here." Mu Han's voice urged him again. "What's taking you so long?" He had no choice but to ignore the spirit's complaining and let her do whatever she wanted in the room. Xiaoxiong handed Moc Ly a box and introduced it. "This is a wild ginseng over 100 years old that you asked our Yu family to find. Please, take a look." After checking the quality of the root, he praised it. "Not bad." This wild ginseng could already be considered a low-grade spiritual elixir. Xiaoxiong replied politely, "You saved my grandfather's life. You're the savior of the entire Yu family. We sent people to search every inch of the country just to find this 100-year-old herb. As soon as we found it, we brought it straight to you." Moc Ly offered his thanks. "I've troubled you all. Since you found this herb, I'll buy it from you at a high price." But the man said he was being too formal. "How could I possibly take your money?" He then pulled out an invitation. "By the way, Mr. Mu, 3 days from now is my grandfather's 65th birthday. We hope you can make some time to attend." Moc Ly agreed, saying he would definitely be there. That night, at the exact moment the moon was at its fullest, Moc Ly released his inner energy, thinking to himself that the spiritual energy on Earth was so thin, if he wanted to level up his cultivation faster, he needed the help of rare treasures. Sensing he was about to break through, he quickly grabbed the ginseng and started munching on it raw. Just then, Xiaobai popped out of the bottle and caught him in the act. "Is that ginseng? Are you sick or something? You're eating it like a common radish." After devouring the ginseng, his power skyrocketed. A mere mortal would have never survived the raw medicinal energy of a 100-year-old root. But I, Moc Ly, am a cultivator who has mastered the highest celestial arts. Absorbing mountain ginseng like this is child's play for me. After a long moment, he let out a deep breath and muttered, "It is done. I have reached the middle stage of qi refinement." Then he looked up at Xiaobai and asked, "What were you saying just now?" She leaned over with a skeptical look and placed her hand on his forehead. "Didn't you hear me? Did you eat so much ginseng that you turned into an idiot?" Moc Ly's face flushed red because she was leaning in way too close, flaunting her curves right in front of him. He warned her, "You are not allowed to make a sound while I am practicing from now on. As punishment, you are staying home alone today." Secretly, he thought to himself that she actually was not that small. Xiaobai clung to him and whined, "But I want to go out and play too." But Moc Ly already had the jade bottle ready, and ordered her to get inside immediately. Don't make me call you by your true name. The stubborn demon had no choice but to obey. Fine, I'm going in. She then obediently shrank inside. Moc Ly then headed out to find his sister. Mu-Han asked her brother what was going on. He patted her head and said he had something to tell her. We are not eating at home tonight. I am taking you and Mom to the most famous restaurant in Beizhou for a massive feast. For some reason, Mu-Han's face turned bright red. Soon after, the two of them arrived at the legendary Gu Yue restaurant. Inside the restaurant, the security team was on high alert. They had received word that the major martial arts sects were gathering here today, so they had to ensure everything was perfect. They acknowledged the order over their radios. Roger that. Meanwhile, Mu-Han stared at the menu in awe. I heard Gu Yue restaurant has been around for over 200 years, passed down since ancient times. It is even considered one of the must-see landmarks in all of Beizhou. And it is not just the history. They are famous for serving the most incredible gourmet delicacies. So, a single meal here costs at least 30,000 yuan. Moc Ly pointed at the menu and said, "We will take this combo." The server confirmed. The deluxe combo A, which includes 6 premium abalones, 3 servings of Buddha jumps over the wall, and 3 servings of bird's nest stewed in papaya. The total comes to 66,666 yuan. Please wait a moment. Mu-Han thanked the server and handed back the menu, thinking her brother must be incredibly rich. Moc Ly was thinking the same thing. It is a good thing Mom hasn't arrived yet. If she knew I ordered the most expensive meal in the place, she would definitely kill me. Suddenly, he overheard a familiar name. Liu Feng. Do you really know that young master from the ultra-wealthy Zhou family in the Imperial City? Zhuang Yuan, you are underestimating me. I went to the Imperial City with my dad a while back and made a special trip to visit Master Zhou. He even invited me to his mansion to hang out. You wouldn't believe how insanely luxurious it was. Moc Ly realized they were talking about Zhou Shiheng. Just then, a server approached Mu-Han and said, "Miss, I am so sorry. Our staff gave you the wrong table. This spot was already reserved. Would you two mind moving to another area?" She politely replied, "Oh, sure, no problem. Small mistakes like that are understandable. Brother, let's move. Why are you just standing there?" Liu Feng noticed them as they were getting up. He thought to himself, "Wow, she is a total babe." He then purposely brushed against Mu-Han. She jumped in surprise, her face turning red. Liu Feng used it as an excuse to talk to her. "You look unfamiliar, beautiful. What family are you from? I don't think I've ever seen you at any of the Beizhou martial arts gatherings before. A girl as pretty as you. I definitely would have remembered." Moc Ly saw this guy was looking for trouble and stepped in. "Sorry, we are in the wrong place. We don't belong to any clan. We are just ordinary people." Suddenly, a well-dressed young man walked over and spoke up. "Why are you two in such a rush to leave?" His name was Wu Kaiming, 22 years old, the young master of the Wu family and a mid-level martial artist. "Today, I am hosting the younger generation of Beizhou's top families. It is fate that you two ended up here. Why not sit down and get to know everyone? Do it as a favor to me." Liu Feng clearly respected Kaiming. He bowed slightly and said, "Master Wu, I heard you recently had a breakthrough. Reaching mid-level martial artist status at your age is truly incredible." He replied humbly, "Oh, please. I actually think I am moving too slow." Mu-Han whispered to her brother, "It looks like we shouldn't offend these people. Maybe we should just stay for a bit." But Moc Ly reassured her, "You have nothing to fear." Liu Feng then handed Mu-Han a business card, wanting to know her name. "Here is my card. I'd love to be friends. We should hang out sometime when you are free." But Moc Ly snatched the card away quickly, inspected it, and said, "This is a fancy card. I'll take it on her behalf." Liu Feng was livid that someone was blocking him. "I've been holding back, but I've had enough of you. I'm talking to her, so why the hell are you sticking your nose in it?" Moc Ly didn't make him wait long. He delivered a strike that made the guy cough up blood. Then he slammed him hard against the wall. Kai Min and Trang Vien turn around as a loud crash echoes through the hall. They find Liu Feng sprawled on the floor after getting completely schooled, while Moc Ly steps forward. "Since you're so desperate to know, I'll enlighten you. I am her older brother, and my family name is Moc." Moc Han is stunned since when did her brother become such a powerhouse? Meanwhile, Liu Feng is fuming after that beatdown, screaming, "Damn it, how dare you kick me?" Moc Ly just looks at him coldly and asks, "So what if I did?" Trang Vien chimes in, "The Moc family, huh? There isn't a single prominent family named Moc in all of North Province. Are you just that guy who opened the hotel next door?" You really think you can just lay hands on people on our turf? Moc Ly shoots him a piercing glare and demands, "Who told you my family runs a hotel?" Kai Min is visibly shaken by the guy's sheer intensity. Could he be from the legendary Moc family in the imperial capital? Just then, the elevator doors slide open at the floor where the chaos is unfolding. Two beautiful girls spot Lu Fong and gasp, "What on earth happened here? Master Lu got beaten up? No way." Lu Fong is absolutely livid, his face turning red with shame as he snarls, "This is the first time I've ever been humiliated like this." Losing his mind, he grabs a nearby chair and lunges at Moc Ly, screaming at the top of his lungs, "I don't care if you're Moc Han Han or whoever the hell you think you are. I'm gonna teach you a lesson you'll never forget." But before he can even touch a hair on Moc Ly's head, he's sent flying with a single kick. He looks absolutely pathetic now, a far cry from the arrogant punk he was just a few minutes ago. Kai Min, wanting to keep things from spiraling out of control, steps in to play peacemaker. "Everyone, please, let's stop this. I'm hosting the younger generation of North Province today, so do me a favor and settle down. Let's not make a scene." However, his condescending tone makes Moc Ly's skin crawl. "Listen, young man, your sister isn't exactly some highborn princess. So what if he was just playing around a bit? Honestly, if she could marry into the Lu family, it would be a huge step up for people like you. Just apologize to Master Lu, and we'll call it even." Instead of backing down, Moc Ly just scoffs and looks Kai Min dead in the eye, asking, "And who do you think you are? Why should I give a damn about your face?" The two girls from earlier are completely speechless. How could he say that to Ngo Kai Min, the young master of the prestigious No family? Where does he get the nerve? Kai Min's ego takes a hit, and he sneers, "Oh? So you think I don't have enough status for you to respect me? What if we combine every single young master from every family in North Province? Is that enough for you?" Moc Ly's expression remains one of pure disgust as he replies, "Still not enough." Kai Min drops the act, his expression turning cold as he begins to release his internal energy. "I see you're pretty aggressive, so your martial arts cultivation must be decent. Fine then, let's settle this with a duel. If you win, you can walk out of here whenever you want, and I won't hold a grudge. But if I win, what then?"